90 years of the ABC. ABC News, good afternoon, I'm Yvette Gray. Victoria Police say a 3-car crash that killed a police officer and a man near Mildura in the state's northwest wasn't involved in a pursuit at the time. Sarah Jane Bell has the latest.
The unmarked police car was patrolling near Redcliffs when a ute travelling in the opposite direction veered into its path at about 10 o'clock last night. The 25-year-old female senior constable driving the police vehicle and the man driving the ute died at the scene. A 43-year-old senior constable was flown to hospital in a critical but stable condition. Chief Commissioner Shane Patton says investigations are underway.
There is no indication of any attempt by the police vehicle to be intercepting anyone.
A third car collided into the rear of the police vehicle. That driver and 3 children weren't injured.
United Australia Party leader and federal MP Craig Kelly wants the woman who smashed an egg on his head at a Melbourne rally to be prosecuted. Police are investigating after Mr Kelly was egged at an election campaign event in South Yarra yesterday. Speaking at a media conference in Tasmania this morning, the outspoken politician says parliamentarians would no longer mix with the public if perpetrators of violence were not held accountable.
If someone sneaks up behind you and strikes you across the back of the head, that's a common assault. We can't have this being condoned in our society. Violence should never be the way. It's got to be dialogue, it's got to be debate.
Federal Liberal MP Tim Wilson has declared his party is ready for the Prime Minister to go ahead and call the next federal election. It comes after the High Court yesterday rejected a legal challenge to Liberal Party pre-selections in New South Wales. It clears the path for Scott Morrison to call the election, which is expected to be held on either May 14th or May 21st. Mr Wilson has described the friction over pre-selections as a distraction and says the party is now campaign ready.
Obviously, we're all waiting for the Prime Minister to pull the starting gun or fire the starting gun, but all the candidates are capable, ready and will be the best representatives for their community.
Western officials say a Russian general with extensive experience in Syria has been put in charge of Moscow's operations in Ukraine. General Alexander Dvorodikov has been given the job of improving coordination between Russia's forces. Officials expect new offensives in the south and east of Ukraine sooner rather than later. The organisation that hands out the Oscars has banned actor Will Smith from all its events for 10 years after he slapped presenter Chris Rock. Smith has issued a statement in response, as the BBC's Peter Bowes explains.
A very short statement. He says that he accepts and respects the decision of the Academy. We know that he, previous to today, he's apologised several times, but it is clear that Will Smith, at a very personal level, still has a lot to do to redeem himself and to perhaps rebuild his own reputation.
Climate experts are warning the wet conditions along Australia's east coast will drag on for a few more weeks. Australia is experiencing its second consecutive La Niña year, and it's a major factor behind the heavy rain being experienced in New South Wales and Queensland. The Bureau of Meteorology has revealed that its models suggest La Niña has passed its peak, but Dr. Agus Santosa from the Climate Change Research Centre says there won't be a return to more normal conditions just yet.
This La Niña is actually decaying quite very slow. And in fact, in the past few weeks, it has strengthened a little bit.
In sport, Melbourne is looking to become the first team to hold both the men's and women's premierships as they head into today's AFLW Grand Final against Adelaide. Sam Wilkinson reports.
Today's decider will be the second to be played at the Adelaide Oval, with the hometown Crows going for their third premiership. Both Eloise Jones and Najwa Allen come back into the Adelaide side after serving their suspensions, and Jasmine Hewitt has also been picked. The Demons have named an unchanged team from the one that beat the Brisbane Lions in the preliminary final. A win for Melbourne would be the club's first and would go alongside the men's flag last season. The first bounce is at midday Adelaide time, with Australian pop artist Jessica Mauboy to perform in the halftime entertainment.
To the weather in Melbourne, partly cloudy, a top of 26. Tomorrow, partly cloudy, 26. Monday, a few showers, 20. Tuesday, showers, 18. Wednesday, a possible shower, 22. Thursday, a shower or two, 25. It's 24 degrees. ABC News.
Meet Australia's mini acts.
What are you doing?
I'm just creating a little miniature scene in this hole in the wall.
Of course.
Join a shrunk-down tour
I make tiny things.
of Australia's history.
1916, please.
From the first balloon flight to the pearling industry to the relocation of Taronga Park Zoo.
How do you move a zoo? Zoo movalist.
Tiny Oz.
That's cool.
Starts Tuesday, April 19 on ABC TV or log in to stream on ABC iView.
ABC Sport.
We begin this broadcast by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which this match will be played today and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. We extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples listening.
That'll do it! After 57 years without a flag, the Demons are dreaming of a double!
Welcome to the 2022 AFLW Grand Final.
Melbourne win a thriller!
Proud and rapt for the opportunity we've now got.
AFLW.
Adelaide advance to their 4th Grand Final in history. The most dominant club in the AFLW has a chance at its 3rd flag.
I know it's a bloody good feeling, but far out Grand Finals are the hardest to win, so yeah, it's going to be a big battle.
The AFLW Grand Final.
Runs into an open goal and she's snapped it.
It bounces perfectly for Bannon, who burns them all into goal for the D's.
Don't the fans love it?
Breaks through traffic, snaps on the left. Aaron Phillips has the first of the preliminary final.
AFLW.
Kicks a high ball inside the 50. Harris comes out and clunks it. Sends it towards full forward stretching. Oh, Daisy Pearce. Oh, too strong, too good.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2022 AFLW Grand Final.
Most years it feels like we've been close, but yeah, never this close, so yeah, can't wait. Yeah, it's going to be a cracker.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Welcome to the Adelaide Oval for the pinnacle of women's football as foundation clubs Adelaide and Melbourne go head-to-head for the ultimate prize in the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. The Crows are seeking to complete a dynasty, chasing their 3rd flag in 6 years, whilst Melbourne look to become the first team in history to hold both the men's and women's premierships simultaneously. We'd like to begin by acknowledging the Kaurna people, the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather today, and pay our respects to their elders past and present, and we extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. Aaron Bryan's with you to call the action this afternoon, and alongside me, a warm welcome to Jess Webster. Welcome, Jess.
Thanks, Aaron. I believe the saying is day for it. It is absolutely beautiful weather, fantastic stadium, tantalising contest. What more could you ask for? It's going to be a wonderful afternoon.
Top of 27, not a cloud in the sky. Beautiful afternoon, as you touched on, Jess. Your experts this afternoon, firstly, one of the pioneers of women's football, former player, coach, administrator, Charlotte Curtis. Welcome over to Adelaide.
Yeah, really great to be here, and certainly I keep getting told by all my mates that live in Adelaide everything is within a 20-minute drive, so you have got plenty of time to jump in your cars, get down to Adelaide Oval, even walk down. It's a beautiful day along the river, sun's out. Adelaide Crows are up and about and flying. There's a lot of Melbourne scarves out on the streets as well. So get down here, fill this stadium, get another 53,000 here today.
Alongside Shiloh, Adelaide Premiership player Rod Jamieson. G'day, Jamo.
Aaron, welcome, Jess. Welcome, Shiloh, too. Yes, and it's a beautiful ground. It's one of the most picturesque in the world, voted by also cricket and by football too. It's going to be a fast track. 2 best sides probably ended up on the right day, and here we are, and I can't wait for it to happen.
This is main event box office football. It could be the best game we've ever seen in the league's history. It's 2 of the most successful teams in terms of win-loss record. Adelaide, obviously, with their flags, can claim that they're probably the best at the moment, but Melbourne have certainly been thereabouts and are hoping to break the glass ceiling this afternoon. Aaron Phillips, Daisy Pearce, the 2 biggest stars in the game. You couldn't ask for anything more, Shiloh.
No, it really is set like that, isn't it? It's just it's an amazing narrative, and for us, I guess, in the media, there's so many really good yarns that to talk about coming into today, and I'm sure in about 2 hours' time we'll have some great stories as well. But it does feel, and it's ironic that Taylor Harris is a boxer, it does feel like just this main event, doesn't it? Fistic, and I'm hoping there's not fisticuffs, by the way, but, it's 2 really dominant teams over the last 5 or 6 years just going at it. Great stage, but some great young kids coming through, and of course there is the history about that things sort of stop here, don't they, because we're about to have the last expansion of the competition. 4 more teams come in after today, and we will never see the same squads of players ever playing together again. And I think there's this finality about today as well that I'm really enjoying.
Has the build-up been the same in Melbourne in terms to the grand final, albeit located here in Adelaide?
I don't think so, and the reason is that, you know, there are 10 teams over there. There's only 2 here, and you all here in South Australia are just so committed to both of your teams and so parochial. And there's only 1 team here at the moment, so even I think some of the Port people are even barracking for the Crows. So there is this fanaticism over here that's unparalleled. There's an 8-page lift out on your mainstream paper, you know, yesterday. Then it's back and front page, plus some pages in the middle today. Like, we wouldn't have had that in Melbourne had Melbourne been in the grand final. I don't think. Not as many pages of coverage, I would say. But still there, but not like you guys here.
Let's check in with the 5th member of our commentary team down on the boundary and see how the Adelaide Crows are feeling. A warm welcome to Liz Walsh.
Thanks, Aaron. I'm standing here on the boundary line with Crows coach Matthew Clark. Doc, thanks for joining us. Tell us about the build-up this week. It must be exciting. Grand final day's finally here.
Yeah, it's obviously very exciting, and obviously we've got a cracking day for it. So the build-up was pretty normal. They trained really well on Wednesday night. Last night was just a kick and a catch, but as normal a week as you can have leading into a grand final.
The players have talked a bit this week about last year's grand final loss, how it spurred them on, particularly in the pre-season. What about for you? Do you take anything out of last year's grand final defeat and carry it into today?
Not much, to be honest. Basically processed that at the end of last season and tried to learn what we could from it. But then, as you say, maybe through the pre-season you train a little bit harder, but by this stage of the year it's very much about this season.
But surely your previous experience in grand finals will hold you in good stead today?
Yeah, I think I mentioned during the week, I think it probably helps in the lead up in terms of just understanding some of the extra pieces of distraction or noise that can be part of this week. But I think, you know, once the game starts, it's just another game. So hopefully it's allowed our players to be, you know, calm through the week. But once it bounces down, it'll be a game of footy.
Speaking about when it bounces down, where's the game going to be won or lost today?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. The midfield battle is always crucial in every game, but if I look across the field, I think both teams are really balanced. So, if one team gets severely dominant in midfield in particular, then that can obviously sway the contest. But I envisage it's going to be pretty even across the ground, and so it'll probably come down to just moments, who executes in those clutch moments.
Eloise Jones comes back from suspension. I imagine you'll be warmly welcoming back her speed and her toughness.
Yeah, she's had an outstanding season, so we were pretty disappointed when she wasn't available last week. But yes, to get her coming back into the side, albeit off a bit of an extended break, the way she's played throughout the year, just, you know, she adds to us.
Najwa Allen comes back in as well after a 2-week suspension, but given all the COVID delays, it's actually been 5 weeks really since she last played. Can you talk us through the decision to bring her back in? Were there any concerns over her match fitness?
Certainly not over her fitness. She's a supremely fit athlete. It was a really tough call. It was a really tough call, particularly on Maddie Newman, who, you know, essentially that was the like for like. Naj's form throughout the whole year had been really strong, and probably over 2 years, to be honest. So we just felt that she warranted selection, and she probably just adds a little bit more dash. Maddie uses the ball beautifully, and as I say, it was a tough call.
Speaking of like for like, you've brought in Jasmine Hewitt for the suspended Montana McKinnon. Talk us through that decision. I think it's only her 3rd game for this year.
Well, that's a pretty straightforward one, to be honest. She played a game early in the season, about round 3, and then again in round 10. And part of that decision at round 10 was, one, we felt we needed some freshness into the group, but there was also that piece where we just wanted to make sure that we had exposed all of our players that potentially could end up in a big game. So I think that's to our benefit that she played recently, and we're really confident.
How important will the ruck battle be today? Obviously, Lauren Pearce is in all-Australian form.
Yeah, no, she's a significant player for them. And the game in round 4, you don't take too much away from it so long ago, but one of the things we did do well on that day was our rucks performed strongly, and she picked up a bit of an ankle injury during that game, so Pearce, that is. So that, you know, we've got a challenge ahead of us in that space, and therefore the 2 rucks is an important piece of our makeup.
And last question from me, what have you made around the hype of the Phillips-Pearce showdown today?
Not much. It's nice. It's a good storyline. But in the end, it's a team game, and so the individual piece sort of drifts to the background pretty quickly.
You seem very calm, Doc.
Yeah, I am. I'm ready to go.
Excellent. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Great to have Adelaide Crows coach Matthew Clark with us on Grandstand AFLW. It's grand final day at the Adelaide Oval as the Melbourne Demons make their way out onto the turf. Their first ever grand final in the competition. And as we touched on, one of the Trailblazers, they were in that inaugural exhibition game that really kicked things off with the AFLW and now get their chance at the big stage to win their first premiership flag. Aaron Bryans, Jess Webster, Charlotte Curtis, Rod Jamison with you. Doc Clark seemed to be a little bit composed. The energy's not quite there yet, but he did touch on that round four matchup where Adelaide knocked off Melbourne by 14 points this year. Do you take much from that today, Jamo?
Oh, it's a guide, but back to Doc, that you're never going to get heightened excitement from him. He's one of the most laconic, laid-back men I have ever met in my entire life, and not too much fusses him. He has got frustrated, but as a coach of the women, and it's nice, Shiloh, and you want the engagement of women to coaches. I know there's been a bit of narrative around that, but he's so connected to this group. He actually loves this group, and he's stepped away a lot of his responsibilities for the men's to come and engage with the women. And he's just got this amazing connection with people, and the women in the Adelaide Football Club, they absolutely adore him and love him. So just to answer it, like, that excitement won't happen. And even if they were to win, he's not going to come over the top in the way that he behaves in his manner.
And you think about, finals football and grand final, really the game, I honestly, and, you know just as much as anyone around this, that to win big games of football like this, you've got to be able to lead yourself first and foremost, because how you choose to lead yourself will determine how you show up and how you influence the contest and other people. And if he's all hullabaloo today, right now, energy in the pre-game convo, like, that's just going to detract from the moment. The players need you, and it's a cliche, but you got to play it contest by contest, and you play the game in your head, not so much with your body.
No late changes this afternoon. So for Adelaide, the three swaps from their preliminary final: Allen, Jones, Hewitt comes in, Tonin, Newman, and McKinnon out. The latter through suspension. No changes to Melbourne's preliminary final squad as well. So Shelley Scott, who did get her right calf strapped up in the warm-up, is out there. So no late changes for the Melbourne Football Club. Great to have your company on Grandstand AFLW this afternoon. The text line 0437 774 774. Liz Walsh has made her way over to the Melbourne race. Let's see how they're feeling ahead of Downstown. She's with Tam Hyatt.
Thank you, Aaron. I'm down here with Demons assistant coach Tam Hyatt. Tam, welcome to Adelaide. How's the team handled grand final week?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Liz. It's been a great week so far. I think they've struck a really good balance of making sure you enjoy the week, because it is a special, it's worked since August to get here. So special week to enjoy the week, but also just relax and don't play the game too many times in your head before the first bounce. So yeah, it's been a really good balance. There's a really good feel amongst the group.
The Crows are obviously seasoned grand finalists. How do you build confidence in your side that might potentially feel inexperienced on this big stage?
Yeah, look, they are, we acknowledge that they've been here before, but we've got a really strong belief amongst the group that's really built from day one of pre-season. I think that the way that we play stacks up really good in finals, that contest style of football, and last week again installed more belief. So yeah, the group, we obviously respect the Crows. They've been a really strong organisation since inception, but we know that we come game day that the playing fields are level, and we've got a really good belief with the group.
From your perspective, what are some of the key matchups you'll be keen to explore today?
Oh, look, I think it's the physicality and the bigger bodies of the Crows midfield. I think that's probably where the key is making sure that we've got really good contest method and things like that to match up against those physical bodies. Not get intimidated, and then once we can match in the contest and then play our game from there, but not get too caught up in how they play, but really focus on what we can do.
Will you be giving Erin Phillips any particular attention today?
No attention, and more so than the other 20 players. I think we've got 21 players that will play a role on the other 21 players. So she's a great player. They've got a lot of depth there. So it's not just about one player for us. It's we're focusing on 21 Adelaide jumpers.
You lost to Adelaide in round 4 this year. That was your only loss for the season. What learnings do you take from that game that you will play out on the field today?
Yeah, round 4 it was and exactly that. It was a really good learning for us. They beat us up physically, and we probably weren't up to it. And I think since that lesson was taught, I think we've altered a few things. But the physicality and the contest has been a real strength probably the last 6 or 7 weeks for us, which we basically got tailed up on that day. So I think that's growth in itself. But yeah, we were taught a lesson, but yeah, we get another crack, which is really exciting.
Excellent. Thanks, Tam, for joining us.
Thanks,
Good luck
Liz.
today.
Thank you.
Tam Hyatt downstairs with Liz Walsh ahead of bounce down here at the Adelaide Oval. We're about 10 minutes away now from the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. It's the Adelaide Crows hosting the Melbourne Demons. Adelaide looking for their 3rd flag in 6 years, and Melbourne looking for their 1st after being one of the trailblazers of the game. Shiloh Curtis, Rod Jamieson, your experts, Aaron Bryans and Jess Webster with you. Shiloh, how do you combat the Adelaide midfield today? Does Melbourne back themselves in, or do they do what Brisbane did last year and tag Ebony Marinoff?
Well, I think you've got to be accountable, but I think at the same time I think they've got to back their own team in. Like, they've got some wonderful mids. You think about who they've got in there: Hanks, Paxman, Maddie Gay, Lily Mithen, Purcell's played the last sort of 4 or 5 games, and then Lauren Pearce, she's their #1 clearance winner, and she's their ruck. So they spread the load quite wide. Really, for the Crows, if Melbourne can cover off a couple of good players, how's the Crows going to combat that sort of range of midfielders at Melbourne? So I think the Crows will be happy to lose a midfield battle, but will be much happier to win the footy from behind the contest and then spring the ball forward from there.
I think it's not dissimilar to, you might go to one and you've got Evan and Hatchie 2 in the middle. So if one gets on top, well, then you just change over and lock down. But to try and lock down both, you can't do that and can't afford to be negative in that way. So, look, the consistency was highlighted on Tuesday night, wasn't it, as to how good those two have been all year in the middle of the ground. And they're so important to Adelaide.
And I think for the Ds, they've got an amazingly exciting forward line, and I think they've hit peak form, their forward line. Their unity and their synergy as a group is just so exciting. So you don't want your the middle part of the ground to play sort of negative or line ball footy. You want to be really attacking up on your toes, win it, get it down the throats of those 5 or 6 key forwards.
And listening to Tam, what she said, they beat us up physically in round 4, so I'm intrigued to see how they will handle that and the approach early. Like, it's a big game. You can allow the emotions to get away with you a bit. Adelaide have played in 3, Melbourne haven't made 1, so they've played in big games, so they know how to handle themselves at the right moment. So I'll be intrigued as to how that battle unfolds in terms of their either intimidation, either wanting to go either over the top or just negate what's getting on. Coming to Adelaide Oval, and I mean, there's a reasonable crowd here today, and I would think it's going to get bigger, but keep the opposition quiet and the crowd quiet. That's what it's all about, but go about your craft.
It's a beautiful day for football. Aaron Bryans, Jess Webster, Shiloh Curtis and Rod Jamieson with you. Great to have your company on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, online across the globe as well. Plenty of ways you can join us for a historic afternoon at the Adelaide Oval. Both teams ready for the pre-match presentations. It's going to be a big match feel. As Rod Jamieson said, the lower level looks pretty full across the stadium. Free entry for children. I think it's $10 for adults to get in this afternoon. There's still time to get on down. Witness history as Adelaide look to cement, their legacy, essentially, in what could be the end of an era with the expansion clubs coming in. And for Melbourne, they're just looking to finally achieve something they've come all so close to over the past couple of years.
An 8th of the Melbourne team, Shiloh, were there in day 1 too, so they've been through the journey, and you would think this is the pinnacle. It'd be a nice way, not to suggest that they're on the way out, but there's a couple of players that things will change and some might come to an end and some will continue on.
Let's head downstairs.
AFL acknowledges that the land we meet on today is the traditional land of the Kaurna people, and we respect their elders past, present and emerging. We acknowledge that we play our great game on this land and respect the cultures of all First Peoples, their contribution to our nation and to the game of Australian rules football. Please join me now in welcoming Lisa Hardiman, the 2022 NAB AFLW Premiership Cup Ambassador. Lisa is joined today by 7 Community Cup ambassadors from right across Australia. They've been selected for their significant contribution to women's football in their states and territories. We're also joined by junior representatives from the Wollonga Junior Football Club who are able to join us here today thanks to Chemist Warehouse. Would you now join the coaches, players and umpires and rise for the Australian National Anthem to be performed by Chloe Bremner, supported by the Australian Girls Choir.
It's the biggest day in women's football, the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. Adelaide up against Melbourne. Big fight feel. Could be one of the biggest games in the history of the competition, and it's great to have you alongside us for it on Grandstand AFLW. Shiloh Curtis, Rod Jamieson, your experts this afternoon. How is this game won and lost today?
Oh, look, for me, it's going to be just those one-on-ones. You know, how can they beat their opponent in those one-on-one battles? And the team that wins them all one-on-one contests, for me, will win the game because they're just so evenly matched across the whole field.
Best defensive side in the competition, Adelaide. Melbourne aren't that far behind, but they kick scores, and we've seen them kick big scores too. So you spoke about Taylor Harris. I want to see her perform on a big stage on this day. There's been a big build-up around her across her entire career, and a lot of people have followed. So she's a huge talent, but Chelsea Randall's one of the best in the business too, so you think that she'd go and pick her up. The midfield is so key, and it's going to get down to how both sides use the football around the ground. You know, like they both rebound reasonably well, carry the football to one end to the other, and I'm sure there'll be individual brilliance. One of the things for me, speed is always evident in the women's football. Like it was Alyssa Bannon, like her speed to be able to take on, bounce, and then get forward and then kick goals. On Adelaide's side, Stevie Lee Thompson, I think every time she gets hold of the football, the game opens up and creates some space.
No, Bannon is such a beautiful footballer. I coached her in the under 15 rep program in Victoria, and just such an amazing talent, really new to the game, didn't play junior footy with the boys, was an athlete, has got an athletics background. Her mum is about 6'2". She's an amazing athlete herself, so really good athletics pedigree within Alyssa's family, and just a really good, well-balanced kid. And so I'm not surprised that we saw the maturity and the composure we've seen from her in the back half of the season. She is going to be super dangerous. It'll be interesting to see. She'll get a bit more respect today, I think. I don't think Craig Starcevic respected her enough last week, and I don't necessarily think that Maddie Clark will make the same error off the back of last week. So Alyssa Bannon, that'll be a good test for the young kid, but that then might free up Harris, for instance, to get a little bit more of a longer leash than she might get from her opponents.
Jamie, you touched on it before. Adelaide, the best defensive side in the comp. They've actually conceded an average of less than 20 points a game, which is the first time in the history of the AFLW. But Melbourne are the best offensive side. So they're second for points for, they're first for scores for inside 50, they're first for scores from turnover. So it's a huge clash of styles this afternoon.
Well, they're very similar. That's the thing. So that's why it's so difficult to actually split the teams. They both come in 9 wins, 1 loss, and that's where it is really challenging to find definitively. The only reason I would go Adelaide, one, if they've been here before, half or 2/3 of their team have played and won, and they understand what needs required. They come off last year's, it's a loss, it burns, it feels, it's in their gut. You know, Melbourne, on the other hand, they had their coach voted the best coach in the competition this year, Daisy Pearce. Will she, won't she? And there's so much narrative around where she might be, as the same with Erin Phillips. So, you've got two absolute jets from both sides that you've just got uncertainty about.
Daisy has a bit of a knack of the romantic narrative in football, and there is one always in football, but she has a knack of the romantic narrative following her. So, I don't know, for me, I just get the vibe. I've had it, it's just the vibe of it all, that I think Melbourne will get up today.
The toss has just happened in the middle. Let's head downstairs and get a feel for the atmosphere with Liz Walsh.
Thanks, Aaron. There's actually a really, truly electric feeling down here at ground level. 15,000 tickets have been sold so far, and I'm actually told there's still a lineup to get into the car park here. Crows captain Chelsea Randall has won the toss, and Adelaide will kick to the southern riverbank end of Adelaide Oval, looking to the benches today. And for the Crows, tall Jasmine Hewitt has come into the side for the suspended ruck Montana McKinnon. She'll start on the bench alongside Hannah Button, Ailish Considine, Hannah Munyard and Nikki Gore. And for the Demons, their starting bench is Casey Sheriff, Eden Zanker, Megan Fitzsimon, Eliza West and Eliza McNamara.
History awaits at the Adelaide Oval. The Crows looking for their third premiership. Melbourne looking for a double to hold simultaneously the men's and the women's. It's the 2022 AFLW Grand Final on Grandstand AFLW. To kick things off, here's Jess Webster.
It all comes down to this. Gould and Pearce go battle in the ruck. Phillips laying an important tackle early. She's starting in the middle of the ground. Forces a secondary stoppage. We're still inside the centre circles.
Paxman and Mithen on the wings.
Purcell Marinoff.
Tossed up. Pearce wins it down, tries to crumb her own footy. Caught in the tackle, dropped it. Hatchard just tumbles it through the square up towards half forward. Ponter overran it. Didn't judge the flight of the ball. Picked up by Colvin. Now the D's. A handball out wide to Purcell. Threw it on the boot errantly down the line and sitting back. Intercept taken by the returning Najwa Allen.
One of three changes to the Crows side for the grand final. Flares it out wide. As Munyard kicks long towards half forward. Pack forms, ball spills to ground. Martin laying a tackle, and we've got a stoppage 55 out from the Crows' goal. So tense early moments in the grand final. Two of the best sides in the competition this year. Storylines galore. It's a free kick out of that ruck stoppage going the way of Melbourne, and Lauren Pearce will take the footy from Melbourne at centre half back.
The All-Australian ruck heads through the square. Flat kick, low to ground, sliding in. Scott couldn't take it. Spilled to Hanks. Kick was smothered. Scott goes in trying to gather. Paddled it out. Gay swung in the tackle. Quick kick forward from Hatchard up to half forward. Woodland's come out to meet it. Had a fumble on the bounce and becomes the tackler. Wraps up Gay in the square. Ball up to come once again. Still no score. Minute and a half gone in the grand final.
Well, Melbourne have gone forward on two occasions, both kicking to the opposition.
Pearce takes it out of the ruck. Dispossessed by Gould. Umpire says play on. Ball spills to Paxman. Gives it to Purcell. Caught one high. Takes the free kick on the back edge of the square. Kicks out wide to the broadcast wing. Hanks has spread well. Takes the mark. Short kick down the line. Great mark by Alyssa Bannon, the hero in the prelim final last week with 3 goals. She's marked in front of the interchange gates.
Called to play on. Wheels around and heads into the 50 for the Demons. In front position, Hatchard cuts it off. She's in for a big afternoon. Hands it off to Rajcic. They exit defensive 50 to Marinoff. She's at right half back. Kicking to the southern end. Pops it short. Finds Gould. Hands it off to Bedell, who's running outside the benches. Down the line to right half forward. A bit too long for Woodland. Sitting at the back. Bannon gets a clearance out towards centre wing. Paxman's there. Took the mark. Played on though. Hands it off to Pearce, who has to weave through 3. Quick kick up to left half forward. Brought down by Pearce in the contest. Head over the footy. Marinoff did well to get it to Bedell. Handball forward to Martin. Put her head over the footy. Shrugged a couple and went. Kicks through up to half forward.
And Woodland's found herself a bit of space. Dropped what she should have taken. Has time to regather. Dribbles a kick inside forward 50. Coming out as Mules. Eyes the goals. Pops it towards the top of the square. Hatchard has a couple to beat. Getting back there is Gay for the Demons. Hands it backward to Colvin. Her kick to right half forward is marked by Mithen, who's all alone at half back. Looks to kick in board. Kick is smothered off the boot. It spills to Jones. Sends it towards the top of the square. A pack forms is off hands. Ball alive at ground level. Heath against Phillips. Heath won the one-on-one battle. Gives it back to Colvin. Her kick partially smothered. Button lays a tackle against Heath, I think it is, and we've got a stoppage in the right forward pocket.
Pressure's outstanding, Jess, too. Adelaide 6 tackles, Melbourne yet to lay one.
Tossed up. Pearce won it down, coming through West, couldn't gather. Phillips is waiting for the footy, finally gets her hands on it. Nudged to ground, no free kick. Paxman can pick it up for the Demons. Clears to the western side, looking for a pack. Harris was in there, got a spoil, but it went straight down to the All-Australian back, Allen. Adelaide moved forward once again at right half forward. Here's Stevie Lee Thompson.
We saw Melbourne do this last week. Not much contested footy, and they just withstood the pressure.
Thompson pumps along inside 50. Ponta with the fly. Couldn't bring down the mark. A ground level Hatchard. Hacks the kick towards the square. Woodland's tackled in the goal square. Couldn't get boot to ball. Melbourne's desperate defence. Still under the pump. Eventually over the line for a rush behind the first score of the 2022 grand final. Intense moments in the last line of defence.
Sarah Lampard, what a tackle, eh? Goal saving.
Adelaide one behind, Melbourne yet to score. 10 minutes to go in the first quarter.
What a start in the grand final. High pressure footy. Exit out of the attacking 50, or defensive 50 rather, for the Demons. Harris tries to gather, ran through Marinoff, who did well to keep her feet. She's tackled and drops the footy. Sarah Allen goes in now. She can't dispose of it cleanly. Pearce tries to shove her way through, was caught high in the process. The umpire saw it as well. Free kick again going to the ruck for Melbourne.
That's the work of Pearce, below her knees, just fantastic. Able to get down nice and low and draw those free kicks or win those clearances.
Heads down the western wing. Marinoff's in front position. Only had eyes for the football. Takes the intercept for Adelaide once again, forward of centre wing.
A lot of perceived pressure errors at the moment from the Demons.
Marinoff kicks into a crowded forward 50. Birch got hands to it, couldn't complete the mark. The umpires found a free kick, holding the ball, going the Demons' way. Great follow-up work by Birch to lay the tackle on Ponta. Wins herself a free kick inside defensive 50 and will look to switch it. Has Goldrick in a bit of space at right half back. She can mark and play on. Has a player in space in Pearce and centre wing. Spills to Mithen, rushes a kick towards half forward. Gore's there for Adelaide, wrapped up by a couple of Demons. Going nowhere, and the umpire says, I'll have it.
On 3 or 4 occasions now, Shiloh, too, Melbourne have gone forward. They've missed their target, haven't they? Or just the intercept of Adelaide being a bit smart.
And we saw them do it last week, too, against the Lions.
The Crows by a point, but Melbourne get the clearance. Hanks through on the boot, into the 50. Allen's waiting at the back. Crumbs brilliantly. Shrugs a tackle, spins and gives it to Najwa Allen. Down the eastern side, crunched. Hatchard came late to the contest. Smashed through Mithen, who did well to take the mark anyway. Pops back up. Kick is awful. Straight to Najwa Allen. Knocked it down to Charlton. Kick through the square for the Crows. Spoiled to ground by Colvin, who did well to read the bounce. Hands it forward. Uses Gay. Purcell now off towards Goldrick. Handball wasn't great towards half forward. Thompson can mop it up for Adelaide and hand it to Marinoff.
They're away.
Marinoff kicks out wide. Hatchard all alone on the outer side wing. Has a bounce. Loops the handball over the top to Ponta. Unsure where to go. Flicks the handball back inside to Jones. Lowers her eyes inside 50. Kick bounces in front of Woodland. She can't go with it. Shelley Heath applying the pressure for Melbourne. Ball still alive. Goldrick goes in for Melbourne. Now Birch on her hands and knees. The players dive on. And a chance goes begging for Adelaide as the umpire says ball up 30 metres out from goal.
Wow, Adelaide were +3 forward of the footy when they won that, and they haven't been able to penetrate the goals in that moment.
Phillips in the ruck against Pearce was beaten easily. There's a free kick at the fall of the ball for a hold. It's going Melbourne's way. Purcell has it, right back pocket, right on the boundary line. Kicks across the goal face. Mark wasn't taken by Birch there. Picked it up anyway. Kick out towards the left back pocket. Colvin under a bit of pressure. Forced over the boundary line. It'll be tossed back into play.
How can that? You just can't step over the line.
Well, she thought about doing it and then realised, oh, no, I don't know if you can do that. And then ran out of room in the first place, but didn't. The spectators let her know about it.
So 8 minutes played first term. It's Adelaide by a point. Ball in inside 50. Pearce for Melbourne. Takes it out of the ruck. Thunks the kick into the corridor. It's picked off by Randall, who marks in the centre circles and can drive Adelaide forward once again. Nice kick towards half forward. Hewitt collects on the half volley. Handballs backwards to Marinoff. Low ball inside 50, looking for Ponta. Fisted away by Birch. Ball goes over the boundary line. Throw in 30 metres around from goal. Birch has given Ponta a little shove. and it's going to be a free kick to Ponta.
We talk about pressure errors, and there's one there. Just the pressure of the moment, the emotion of that moment there. Burt, she did all the work, got the fist in there, got the ball out of bounds, and now she's just effectively gifted the ball back to the Crows, and it's in the hands of Ponta.
It's the balance of being physical at the right time.
So Danielle Ponta knows the big stage well. This kick's on its way. It's going to go across the face of goal, and it's a mark to Adelaide. On the goal line, Jazzy Hewitt.
Just think it through. Doesn't have to rush.
So Hewitt's on a very tight angle. She'll have to think this one through. As she plays on, gives herself an extra little bit of angle to work with and slots the opening goal of the 2022 Grand Final. Adelaide 1-1-7, Melbourne yet to score. 9 minutes played opening term.
Well, just a couple of silly mistakes by Melbourne, wasn't it, too? Just to give away that silly free to be able to then allow Adelaide through Ponta to have a kick, and in the end, just it wasn't the ease in which you were able to do it, but sort of being able to take a mark deep on the line and then to be able to have a shot. So just, you probably want your midfield and your leaders to say, just settle down. We've given that away. Let's reset, go again. It was just a couple of mistakes by Melbourne.
And that is what finals footy, grand finals pressure does to you. It just makes you a bit edgy. Sometimes you succumb. In those moments, you've got to really hold it together between the ears, not give away those silly free kicks.
5 inside 50s to 2, but it's Adelaide with all the scoring at the moment. 1-1-7, the Demons yet to score, and Hatchard will get another clearance for them. Hacks it out to the eastern side into space. Button running up, overran the ball in the end. Paxman can mop it up at the back. Tried to shrug through a couple of tackles and is caught. Charlton keeps going. She's wrapped up and stripped of it. Took away by Colvin, who just wrenched it out. Now head over the footy. Button can't gather cleanly. Charlton again goes. Inside Goldrick got a handball under pressure towards the boundary line. Sheriff now wraps up Charlton, brings her to ground. Ball up, left half forward for Adelaide. 1-1-7. Melbourne yet to score. 10 minutes gone in the opening quarter.
Well, the Crows have gone forward again. 5 inside 50s to 2. Melbourne's only had 5 possessions in their forward half today.
Another inside 50 from Charlton, but the kick is picked off by Birch, who just measures one to half back. Gay is marked, still inside defensive 50. Send it long down the wing. Harris with the fly over the back. Got fingertips to it, but couldn't reel in the mark. Spills to Bannon, who just hacks it forward. No one there for Melbourne. Rachich got a horrible bounce. It spills to Paxman, who's stripped of it by Rachich, holding the ball.
Great tackle.
She'll look to switch the footy. It's a dangerous kick, but Bedell marks in the defensive 50 arc.
Heads through the square, looking for Button, who lost it straight through the arms. It was a chest mark. Knocked up by Mithen. Gives it off to Pearce, to the scoreboard pocket. She'll go Randall back with the flight, can't clunk it. She got her arms around the footy and is paid in the end. She was in a tussle with arms and is given the benefit of the doubt. So the Crows skipper heads back to the eastern side at left half back. Martin got front position, couldn't bring it down. Gore becomes the tackler. Melbourne get it out though. Paxman again into the 50. Bedell's in the hole, rises up, can't bring it down. Spilled to the deck. Sitting on top, the ball's held up. And we'll get a ball up. It was Sheriff who just plunked herself in the scoreboard pocket and waited for the reset.
Better by the D's here. 2 repeated inside 50 entries, and they're deep entries.
So Harris to go up in the ruck. Pearce at ground level. Her kick was smothered by Rachich, doing the defensive work early for the Crows. Martin laying an important tackle against Mithen. And we've got another stoppage about 40 metres out from Melbourne's goal. Adelaide by 7 points. 12 and a half played in this first term. Chance for Melbourne to get the score on the board. Button extracts it from the stoppage. Tumbles a kick towards half back. Spills to Munyard. Gets a handball out into space. Hewitt overruns it. Munyard out the back can pick it up and hack the ball outside defensive 50. And now it's a foot race. It's Mules against Hoare. Great work by Mules. Stripped Hoare of the footy and the umpire says play on. Thompson dives on Sheriff, and we've got a stoppage just forward of the wing.
Well played, Justine Mules.
Adelaide by 7. One down in the ruck contest by Hewitt, their only goal scorer. She tries to rove as well. Diving in, McNamara is wrapped up by Marinoff. Through centre wing, western side. Ball up to come once again. Great to have Shiloh Curtis, Rod Jamieson as part of our call this afternoon on Grandstand AFLW for the grand final. Pearce in front position wins it down against Gould. It'll roll towards the benches and a boundary throw in to come.
Hatchard 7 touches, Marinoff 4, Goldrick for the D's 7, the leader, and Birch Paxman 5, as well as Purcell.
So Hewitt, the only goal kicker so far in this grand final. Just playing a third game this season. It's from the boundary throw in. Hatchard gets a quick kick out of the pack. Sheriff first there for the D's, pursued by Martin. It spills to Mules, driven into the turf by Birch. Umpire calls for a ball up 60 metres out from the Crows' goal at right half forward.
Well, it was 11-2 tackles in favour of Adelaide. Melbourne have got themselves back in defensively. It's 15-18.
Pearce wins it down again and gathers off the bounce. Kick was smothered. Ricochets towards the square. Paxman does well to tap it to McNamara. Kicks through the square looking for Bannon. Nice contested mark. No one's in the 50, so she has to hold things up. Bannon now heads towards left half forward. Flat kick favours Gay. She'll mark just in front of the logo.
Deepest players, Daisy Pearce.
Maddie Gay heads into the arc for Melbourne. Pearce shoves away her opponent but can't get rid of Najwa Allen, who stood her ground. Knocked it to Ponta. The clearance is an errant one. Sheriff sitting back to intercept for the Demons.
And Jamo, that shift in pressure from Melbourne has given them those deeper entries and forward 50 entries.
So Sheriff bullets a pass to half forward through the legs of Bannon. Out the back, Charlton for the Crows. Couldn't go with it. Hanks now. Her handball partially smothered. Hatchard in there for the Crows. Not sure how she got rid of that one. The umpire calls for a slinging tackle, in fact. So Hatchard, the recipient of the free kick. Gay just a little errant with the tackle.
It's just going to be a taxing quarter for Melbourne, isn't it? Because it's been in their midfield and defence, so they've actually got to work and work back. So when they do go forward, they don't really have the options up forward. They've got to work harder to get down there.
So Hatchard, her 9th disposal so far, kicks long to the wing. It's off hands. Ground level Phillips gives it to Ponta. She's brought to ground by Heath. Just gets the handball away. Gould now again just gets the handball away to Ponta, who tumbles a kick towards half forward. Mules doing the work at ground level. Now to Woodland, and now it's opened up for the Crows. Handball to Charlton. She just needs to run onto it. Heath applies the pressure for the Demons. Kicks inside 50, picked off by McNamara, and the Demons are away.
Marinoff was out at the back, but they just couldn't get it to her. Now the Demons on the eastern side through Gay. There's a holding free kick that will go to Pearce. And that will do us for the opening quarter of the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. Highly contested. Both teams want it. And it's a low-scoring affair so far. 1-1-7 Adelaide, Melbourne yet to score. It's great to have your company on Grand Final Day on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital and online. This is the 2022 AFLW Grand Final.
We are one. I was 4.5 years of age when they took me off my mother. And at 56, I learned that I was an Aboriginal woman. I started writing at 70. I'll never stop writing and sharing those stories.
90 years of your stories.
I am Auntie Ruth. I am Gungari. And I am 92 years young.
90 years of the ABC.
The 2022 AFLW Grand Final.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Birch has given Ponta a little shove, and it's going to be a free kick to Ponta. Danielle Ponta knows the big stage well. This kick's on its way. It's going to go across the face of goal, and it's a mark to Adelaide. On the goal line, Jazzy Hewitt. She'll have to think this one through. As she plays on, gives herself an extra little bit of angle to work with and slots the opening goal of the 2022 Grand Final.
The AFLW Grand Final.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Great to have your company on Grandstand AFLW for Grand Final Day at the Adelaide Oval. And as you just heard, only one goal in the opening term, and I don't think many would have expected the first to go the way of Jasmine Hewitt, one of the 3 inclusions for the Crows this afternoon, converting from the tight angle on the goal line. 1-1-7, Melbourne yet to score. It's been a back and forth affair, though. The Demons have certainly had their chances, Adelaide as well. Neither side able to fully capitalise on what's been out there so far. Aaron Bryans, Jess Webster with you, your experts to break down the opening quarter, Shiloh Curtis and Rod Jamieson.
Well, both teams came into the game very, very even on the stat sheet, and that's what we're seeing at quarter time. There is not much separating these two teams, 51 disposals each. We look at their disposal efficiency, there's 2% difference between their kicks, their handballs, they're really consistent, 12 marks each, contested marks are 2 each. The difference is in the contested game. Melbourne are plus 10 in the contested possessions. Adelaide 19 to 15 in the tackle count, and we know that differential was quite significantly different going Adelaide's way in the early part of the quarter, and they had all the footy in the forward half of the ground as a result. When Melbourne started to bring the tackling pressure against Adelaide, that's when they were able to get the ball further forward. I think probably 2/3 of the way through that quarter, Melbourne only had 5 touches inside their forward half. And if we look at those numbers now, that'll be quite different based on their pressure and tackling work they did in the second half. So a little bit outside for Melbourne for me in the first half of that quarter. And then when they brought their pressure game, their tackling game, they were able to work their way into it.
Yeah, and that's where Adelaide were able to defend because they had more time in their forward 50 in the majority of that first quarter, and Melbourne started to do it later in the quarter with the repeat entries too. So that levelled things up a little bit, but as we touched on, just the energy, and you continue to put your defence under pressure, they just don't have time to have a breath, and they kick it out, and Adelaide were there. You called it, Shiloh, a couple of times. It's 3-on-1 or it's 2-on-5 when it went sort of half forward or even into Melbourne's forward 50. The numbers are there in Adelaide, and they're able to run it out and even just kick it long, and then Melbourne sort of reload. Adelaide take their time to get set and go back again. So I think, if anything, Matty Clark can be a little disappointed probably on 3 occasions. They had opportunity to use it cleaner, pick it up, take their time, but the defence of Melbourne were able to hold off. And a couple of examples of being able to tackle deep on the line or be able to intercept and stop Adelaide from scoring. So I think with the amount of football that you want, your better players from Melbourne, like Taylor Harris, she's only had the 2 or 3 touches, I think. Elisa Banner's had the 3. Taylor Harris, 0. So it actually, even when they are in the contest or trying to get it, it's through the middle of the ground. It's not from the deep areas where you want them to get it.
Well, the players for Melbourne that have had 0 touches, Kate Hoare, Shelley Scott, Harris, Zanka, Fitzsimon, they all played forward of the footy. So it gives you an indication of where the play was for most of that quarter. The inside 50 count now, though, is 7-6 in favour of Adelaide. So Melbourne really came home with a lot of energy in the back half of that quarter. But still, the depth of penetration inside that forward 50, probably went inside 30 maybe twice, and that's been quite generous, I'd say. So Melbourne still struggling to get those metres forward. Adelaide doing a terrific job. We saw last week from Melbourne, though, they weathered the physical storm from the Lions for the first half. They were content to sit on the outside, and come third quarter when they matched up and went toe-to-toe, one-on-one inside the footy, bang, that's when they opened the game up.
Let's check in with Liz Walsh down on the boundary.
We've been blessed with a stunning day here. We're expecting a top of 28 degrees, but I can tell you it is hot down here, and that's for the spectators, so it could prove really trying for the players today. We'll see how that plays out as the game goes along.
Do you dress accordingly, Liz?
Sort of.
I saw her applying the sunscreen before she went down to the boundary. I'd say
clap on grand final day.
Someone with an umbrella holding up over her head so she gets some shade.
Leading possession getters at quarter time. Anne Hatchett has 9. Goldrick has 7 for the Demons. Ponta with 5. Birch, Paxman, Purcell, Pearce all with 5 for the Demons. The only goal scorer, Jasmine Hewitt. It's her first year back at the Adelaide Crows after spending some time on the Gold Coast. A former pick 16. Probably didn't expect to be here on this day, but one of the 3 inclusions, and kicks things off in the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. 1-1-7 the Crows. Melbourne yet to score. Aaron Bryans, Jess Webster, Shiloh Curtis, Rod Jamieson with you for the call on Grandstand AFLW. And if you'd like to get in touch across the afternoon, the text line 0437 774 774.
Just the value of Lauren Pearce, first possession. She is the ruckman, but she's had the first possession on 4 occasions for Melbourne. Drops down to Hatchard and then Caitlin Gould for Adelaide, but the clearance work leading the way, Hatchard, and Paxman comes in for the closest in clearance for Melbourne.
Phillips has made her way into the middle. Marinoff will have to deal with Olivia Purcell. She's racked up the footy a fair bit of her own in the opening quarter.
Do we say that Hanks has got to deal with Phillips, or Phillips has got to deal with Hanks?
She stays in the middle for these, and then she just drops back straight to forward.
So from the middle, Pearce palms it down to Gay, gives it off to Paxman, who was
dealt with, and no, she's given away the free kick. So free kick in the middle of the ground going to Erin Phillips.
Karen Paxman, you can't doubt her endeavour to get at the football of the opponent.
Maddie Gay looks like she's limping out of that stoppage, really struggled. She's coming to the boundary, it looks like, in the hands of a trainer, not feeling super great.
So Pearce delivers to Hatchard nicely, gets it back from centre half forward, pumps it long into attack. At ground level is Martin, wrapped up by Mithen, and holding the ball, says the umpire. So Martin didn't get rid of it. We didn't make enough of an attempt, and Colvin comes up with a footy for Melbourne, flares it out wide to Lampard. Short kick to Paxman at left half back.
Not sure if there was prior in there, Jess, to be honest, but interesting decision early. Awkward kick from Paxman intended for Hanks. Adelaide can swarm at right half forward. Marinoff throws it on the boot up towards the top of the goal square, but Colvin is sitting back and drops the uncontested intercept mark. Ponter's there, picks it up, throw it on the right. Across the face, minus score on the left-hand side. 1-2-8 Adelaide. A minute gone in the second quarter. Melbourne yet to score.
Oh, another pressure error there, the last line of defence.
So Lampard brings it back in. Short kick finds Mithen. Oh no, her kick is a horrible one. Straight to Martin. Gives it to Phillips. The right foot snap towards the goal square. Getting back there is Colvin for the D's. Forces it through for a rush behind. Some nervous moments for the Melbourne defence. They trail by 9 points. Still yet to score. We've played 2 minutes in the second term.
And Erin just a little far out to be able to just snap it over her left shoulder.
So Melbourne through Lampard, clear it out towards right half back, off hands at the fall of the footy, gathered by Jones for the Crows. She hands it off to Rachich, immediately under pressure from Bannon, and dropped it. Bannon now can gather, hands it out wide, uses Purcell. There's a holding free kick coming back, and it's going to Melbourne. Let's check in quickly with Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Yeah, Maddie Gay has come from the oval. She's in the hands of physios. We'll wait to see what happens there.
50-metre penalty to the Demons as well. So Bannon is marched to the arc. Right half forward, too far out to score, but certainly gives the Demons a good opportunity. She had Zanker outside as a runner, doesn't give it to her. Points long and sends it that way towards the top of the goal square. Stevie Lee Thompson was in the hole. Harris flew, couldn't bring it down. Spilled to Gould at the back. Hands it out wide to Randall. The Crows skipper puts it into space at right half back. Marinoff's there to gather. She's under a bit of pressure from Hanks. Wrapped up. Got a handball away. Wasn't great though. Sold her teammate into trouble. Ball up to come close to the boundary line. Left half forward for Melbourne, trailing by 9 points early stages of the second.
Harris had 3 players to contend with. Couldn't even get up and jump.
So Gould takes it out of the ruck. Tackled by Pearce. Picked up by Zanker. A handball looking for Goldrick. She gets it back, Zanker. Now her kick is smothered. Going in there, Charlton for the Crows. Her little kick goes not very far. Lampard picks it up. Kicks towards half forward. Marinoff is there waiting for the Crows. Switches play, finds Jones, centre half back. So Jones kicks it through the centre corridor. Wonderful kick. Hatchard presents as marked in the middle of Adelaide Oval. Short kick looking for Button. She can't quite gather it. Goldrick wraps her up, drives her into the turf. Umpire circles, ball spills out. Heath now collects, gives it to Fitzsimon, who kicks long.
Through the square they'll go. Harris stuck a hand out from behind against Randall. Right on her all afternoon. Randall slides in and knocks it forward to Jones, who soccers off the deck down to left half forward. McNamara can cut it off for Melbourne. Wheels and goes across the benches. Heads to right half forward. They're outnumbered, the D's. Rachich brought it to ground. Pearce comes in, throws the body on the line, and threw the ball out as well. Got it to Hall. Play continues rather, up to half forward. West hands it off. Fitzsimon from 55 spots that there's no one in the goal square and sends it long. The bounce doesn't work. Comes backwards in the end, and Stevie Lee Thompson will knock it over for a boundary throw in the right forward pocket. Adelaide 1-3-9. Melbourne yet to score. Grand final day. 4 minutes into the second quarter.
How is that for a contest? Bannon and Stevie Lee Thompson foot race, racing towards the goal square, trying to win that ball.
The only goal so far in this grand final going to Jasmine Hewitt of Adelaide as the umpire spins the ball back into the play, and it's a holding out free kick. It'll go the way of Adelaide. Gould, the recipient. Taylor Harris just infringed.
Just tunnelling.
Just a little bit of tunnelling, knocked her over.
Interesting that matchup, Harris and Chelsea Randall. If the ball's out in open play, Randall will beat her by foot every day of the week. If they can get into that pop it on her head situation, Harris will outmark Randall.
So Gould hands it off to Randall. Her long kick outside defensive 50, off hands, over the line for a boundary throw-in between wing and half forward for Melbourne.
I think they've had some history, haven't they, too? Like, when she's been at other clubs, Chelsea's matched up on her.
Rod Jamieson, Shiloh Curtis, your experts this afternoon. Toss back in. Pearce in front position, won it down. Straight to West, spun in the tackle, dropped it. No free kick. Ball held up close to the square. Ball up to come, attacking edge for the Demons. They're kicking to the southern end, on the Riverbank stand end or the city end in this second quarter. Take your pick. Knocked down by Gould. Straight to Mithen of the D's. She's wrapped up in a couple of tackles. We're not going anywhere. Ball up again.
Well, Harris and Randall also were teammates in some of those exhibition matches for the Melbourne Demons as well.
So Pearce palms it down. Paxman roves. Handball looking for Zanka. Chopped off by Hatchard. It spills to Marinoff. Wobbles the kick down the broadcast wing, collected by Phillips, who gives it to Charlton. Left foot snap around the corner, reading it best off the boot is Goldrick for Melbourne. And she'll look to send it back to where it came. Instead goes inside the centre square, but chopping it off is Bedell for Adelaide.
Chelsea just loves in defence. I think you give your defence or your forward at line a chance. Chelsea always goes for the mark rather than potentially spoil at times, which he should.
1 of 9 players looking for their first flag. Bedell goes through the square to Ponta, brought it to ground and then crumbed it brilliantly. Kicks into the 50, it beats the pack. Sitting underneath it, Heath is nudged out of it. Hand pass back from Phillips to Charlton. Threw it on the boot errantly to the scoreboard pocket, but it works beautifully. Hatchard was waiting there. It certainly wasn't her target, but the Crows get a set shot 20 metres out, slight angle to the right.
Well, you can see how hard Hatchard worked to get to that ball. She took that mark and then was heaving.
The 2-time premiership player, 3-time All-Australian, runner-up in the best and fairest, leans back on the kick. It's too far right. Another missed opportunity for the Crows. 1-4-10. Melbourne yet to score. 7 minutes into the second quarter on Grandstand AFLW.
Oh, Birch brings it back in. Her kick's looking for Sheriff, but she's dispossessed, holding the ball. Free kick to Adelaide in the left forward pocket, going to Danielle Ponta.
We know how dangerous Danielle is. She only needs a handful of possessions and she can score a couple of goals. She is mercurial, probably doesn't have a big or long enough impact on the game, but gives herself a chance.
So Ponta opens up the angle, lets it fly. It's across the face again, across the line for another minus score. Adelaide 1-5-11, Melbourne yet to score. 7 minutes played second term. Let's head down to the boundary side to Liz.
Yeah, Melbourne's Maddie Gay came from the Oval. We were worried about her ankle, but it's actually her right knee that is now heavily strapped. She's just been put through a fitness test with the physios.
Not good news for the Demons there. They'll exit defensive 50, and again it's cut off by the Crows. Hewitt took the mark, stepped off her line, is called to play on, but didn't know. Got boot to ball under pressure into the 50 again. It works for them. Straight to Hatchard from 45. Heads to the goal square. Woodland's there. Brought it to ground. Ponta was front and square. Left it for Phillips, who snaps on the left. She delivers on the big stage once again. Erin Phillips continues to add to her legacy. Another grand final major for her. 2 to the Crows this afternoon. 2-5-17. Melbourne yet to score. 8.5 gone in the second quarter on Grandstand AFL.
Well, they just had the numbers, didn't they? The Crows, they worked harder for longer and they worked those numbers deeper downfield. Melbourne didn't push hard enough to get ground runners down there and apply pressure. And in fact, probably one of 3 players could have kicked that goal just front and centre of the contest and bounced errantly a few ways, fell into the hands of Phillips because she was there uncontested. Snaps on the left foot, away you go. Goal for Phillips.
4 inside 50s to Adelaide in this quarter alone. Melbourne 2-1 goal for the return for Adelaide. So that's what we were saying earlier. I think Maddie Clark, if anything, just disappointed that the return is not happening for all their effort.
The voices of Shiloh Curtis and Rod Jamieson on Grandstand AFLW is from the restart. Goldrick collects, gives it to Paxman. He'll send it forward for Melbourne. Nice kick towards half forward, marked by Hoare. 70 metres out from goal. Players streaming back into the 50. Now called to play on. Smart kick in the end, measures one to half forward to Purcell. Just outside the arc as Hoare goes down off the ball. Purcell pumps it to the goal square. Harris has a couple to beat coming out.
Oh, play on.
And it's called play on. Must have been touched off the boot. Randall tried to claim the mark. It was touched off the boot, and the umpire says ball up 30 metres out from goal.
Kate Hall's not happy with Ebony Marinoff.
Tossed up, Harris won it down against Hewitt. Marinoff was there, got a handball out to Considine, spun in the tackle from West, doesn't dispose of it. Ball up to come.
This is better from Melbourne. Now they've got the ball inside. They're at about 30 metres. What forward pressure can they bring to lock it in and try and get some scoreboard pressure?
Still about 30 out. Harris wins it down again. Fresh area from Hatchard. Gathered off the bounce in the end. Still doesn't go anywhere. We'll try again quickly to Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Yeah, that Erin Phillips goal before was actually her 50th AFLW goal, so another milestone ticked off for Erin.
She just keeps racking them up, does Erin Phillips. I wonder what colours she's going to wear next year. It's from the ball up. Adelaide fans wanting a free kick to Phillips. He was pushed off it. The players dive on. And we've got another stoppage 20 metres out from Melbourne's goal. Still searching for their first score in this grand final. 11 minutes played in the second term. As Hoare is brought to ground and dispossessed, wanting a free kick. Adelaide rebound towards half-back. Martin picks up, driven into the turf by Goldrick, and is a sling tackle, in fact. Play on advantage. Mules with the quick kick inside the centre square. Spills out the back. Gould can give it to Munyard. Takes a bounce on the broadcast wing. The ball doesn't come back to her. Now has to handball, looking for a teammate, and Gould. She'll try and get it back. Gould just handballs into space. And coming through Munyard, she can pump Adelaide back into attack. It's a one-on-one contest. Jones against Birch. Jones intelligently taps to Hatchard, who just tumbles a kick into the right forward pocket. Button will run onto it, bumped off it by Heath, who gets the free kick. Heath does for a hold.
Well, that was better there from Melbourne. They pushed back. They created a couple of 2-on-1 scenarios for them, and they've been able to win the free kick and win the football as a result.
Heath with the dangerous kick short down the line. Worked for Hoare in the end, low to ground. Pops it over the top. McNamara, left half back. Called to play on, has to wheel around, but can't get past Bedell, so handballs over the top, uses Hoare. Through centre wing, she'll go for the Demons, just behind the logo. Late fly from Scott, who brought it down. Mithen's there trying to gather it in the square. Martin's applying a bit of pressure and wrenches it away from her. The Crow hands back to half-back. She'll use Najwa Allen through the square. She'll kick into space, straight to where the Demons are waiting. Sheriff can apply a shepherd, and it enables Colvin to head down the line to Hanks.
So Hanks wants to use the corridor. Nice foot pass to Paxman, who's got it inside the centre square. A couple of options wide if she wants to continue to switch. Elects to just kick long to a crowded forward 50. Again, Harris with a couple to beat. It spills over the back. Purcell collects. Tackle to the ground. Great defensive work by the Adelaide defenders. Coming up is Marinoff, who laid the tackle.
Harris was a target there. There was a whole pocket that was open, and she elected not to run at the space, but she was waiting for the kick over the back and just pop it on my head. She's got to do the work, Harris.
She won it down, Harris, in the ruck contest. Quick kick out of the pack from Hort. Sits up in the goal square. Bedell's waiting, but dropped the chest mark. Pressure now for the Crows. The Demons are all over it. Bedell has to carry it over in the tackle. Rush behind for them. And that will be Melbourne's first score of the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. A solitary point, Adelaide 2-5-17. And we've played 13 and a half in the second quarter on Grandstand AFLW.
So margin 16 points going the Crows' way as Bedell brings it back in. Long kick outside defensive 50. Jones. A one-on-one contest with McNamara almost completed the mark over the back.
Daisy Pearce has been stuck in the boundary here waiting to come on for probably 6 to 10 minutes.
So stoppage at left half forward for Melbourne. Pearce down to McNamara. Dribbles a kick. Goes about 10 metres. Picking it up as Hatchard. She's going nowhere. Umpire calls for another stoppage. Umpire Nick McGuinness is officiating his third AFLW Grand Final.
Tosses the ball up left half forward for the D's. Pearce disposes of her opposing ruck Hewitt, but the kick was smothered. Jones can gather inside the boundary line. Hands it forward along the deck to Marinoff, who took down Paxman without the ball. They'll take the advantage, the Demons. It wasn't really advantage, though, and the umpire has realised that quickly and made amends. He'll bring it back. Free kick to Paxman at left half forward for the Demons.
She played that really well, actually.
A 5-time All-Australian. Too far out to score. Has Lampard in the square but doesn't want to use it. Just looks to the 50 and sends it centrally about 30 out from goal. Harris can't get a fly, and waiting at the back is Gould. Nice intercept mark for Adelaide.
She had to fly against 4 there.
We've got to find another way, the D's, and here it is.
Oh, dangerous kick. It's picked off by Bannon, who runs into an open goal square. And Melbourne have their first goal of the grand final, just what they needed. Adelaide 2-5-17, Melbourne 1-1-7, 15 and a half played in the second term. Your experts on grandstand AFLW, Shiloh Curtis and Rod Jamieson.
Well, that's Bannon's trick, isn't it? Her pace, her fleet of foot. She's just an outstanding young player. They underestimated her pace with that kick in, and she was able to just pop in, pick it off, and then run into an open goal. Backs herself in, runs straight to the boundary, gets Daisy Pearce back on, who's going to have some fresh legs for the second half, Jamo.
Always dangerous to switch in the back half, and particularly as you've highlighted, Shiloh, just the speed of the defence and Alyssa Bannon to be able to do that. But the kick just sat up by Caitlin Gould, and just MJ just couldn't get to it on time, and they had to find a different way, and they're on the board, and then we go close into half-time.
Adelaide by 10. Pearce in the middle up against Gould. She slaps it down the Crows. Ruckman up towards half forward. Off the deck. Phillips soccers it that way. Bounces up at the top of the arc. Picked up by Lampard, who's swarmed by a couple. Ball up to come just inside the 50. Liz Walsh in the boundary.
More good news for Melbourne. Maddie Gay's back on the field. Her right knee's heavily strapped, but she's back.
So ball up at centre half forward for the Crows. Gould palms it down. Lauren Pearce of Adelaide trying to extract it. It spills out to Phillips. Kicks the ball over her head in the end. Pitches about 40 metres out from goal. Birch is there for Adelaide. She's wrapped up by Jones. And we've got a stoppage, 40 from home.
Just under 30 seconds, Jess, to go in this quarter. Melbourne cannot afford to concede.
Gould takes it out of the ruck, wheels around, great smother from Lauren Pearce. Ricochets out of the 50 for Adelaide. Stevie Lee Thompson can't get a read on the bounce of the ball, runs all the way around it. Najwa Allen comes to assist. Quick kick into the 50, pops up about 45 from home. The Demons are there, there's a whistle on the play, and it's going their way. High tackle up against Sheriff. She'll kick up towards left half back in the scoreboard pocket. Daisy Pearce will take the mark. And that'll do us for the opening half of the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. Melbourne finding some momentum. Back down to a 10-point game. Adelaide 2-5-17. The Demons 1-1-7. The goal scorers in the opening half: Erin Phillips, Jasmine Hewitt, who had the first, and Alyssa Bannon with an outstanding play to cut off the kick from Caitlin Gould. Great to have your company this afternoon. ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital and online for the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. Shiloh Curtis, Rod Jamieson, your thoughts on the opening half of play?
Well, Melbourne were good in that quarter, weren't they, too? I thought they were their aggressive side, and they were wanting to attack more and put Adelaide under a lot more pressure the way they got at the footy. I think in the end, Adelaide, frustration around the amount of football they're having inside, and they can't get it on the scoreboard at the moment. The defence of Melbourne just absolutely standing up. And the unfortunate thing for Melbourne, Shiloh, is you've highlighted occasions, is that Melbourne are trying just to go to Taylor Harris all the time, and she's kicking it long, and they're just playing directly into the hands of the Adelaide defence by just doing so, and they're allowing 2 and 3 to go up against her. She's got to start to work the angles and even work up a little bit too, just to change things and work things up. That then frees up or opens up some space in the forward line for Melbourne, and it doesn't necessarily have to be the target. There are other options up there.
And we saw them do that last week against the Lions. It's a very similar game to last week, I feel, Jamo, that Melbourne allowed the Lions, as I said earlier, just to own the inside footy a bit more. And then when they matched up, they were able to go toe-to-toe and they broke the game open. We saw them bring a bit more physicality in that second quarter then, and I thought their game was much better in that second quarter than it was in the first. They also did the same thing with Harris last week. They popped it on her head. They allowed the outnumber. They conceded the footy, almost trained the oppo to think that that's the intended target. And it was in the second half where they were able to break the game open with some of those younger outside running type players like Bannon and McNamara. Whether they do that today, I'm not sure. Whether the game is going to allow that kind of ball usage through the middle of the ground to be able to hit up some outside runners. There's a lot of congestion in Melbourne's forward line. They go in slow. It takes time. When the Crows go inside, it's a bit more fast-paced. Melbourne are on the back foot a little bit, and they transition slowly at times, Melbourne, defensively, and it's cost them a goal on occasion. So it's going to be really interesting the second half again. It's about how both teams play the game in their own head. For Melbourne, though, they are going to have to be on every single minute of the game, because the Adelaide Crows at the moment, you give them an inch and they're smashing Melbourne in certain areas of the ground.
And I think the midfield has sort of evened itself out. You look at Hatchard's had the 15, Gould's had the 11, Marinoff had the 11, Erin Phillips starts in the middle, goes forward, she's had the 10. Paxman's had the 10 and doing really well. Probably a standout player in and around the football for Melbourne. Purcell's had the 7, is starting to get it. We have Lauren Pearce has probably been a little quieter. She's had the 5 in terms of her direct opponent. But a lot of the defence for Melbourne just continue to stand up and do the hard work to repel Adelaide.
Yeah, they work super hard. For me, the two Irish women, Goldrick and Colvin, just been awesome all season, but particularly in today. And there's been moments today where it's just been them and they've had to go one-on-one and just absolutely outstanding. Libby Birch, the work rate of Birch to get upfield, and then there's been a couple of times where she's realised, geez, if we don't win it here, we're in big trouble. And she's had to hot foot at 100 metres back behind the footy to try and be that last line of defence. Really good work from her. So This is a cracking game, and there's not much in it at all. You look at the stat sheet. Just Adelaide are plus 15 in touches. Melbourne's ball use plus 10%. The inside 50 count 14-11. The clearances 10-12. Effective clearances 9-8, both in favour of the Crows. There's just not much in it at all. And Gemmo, as you know, finals footy, you don't sometimes need to win the whole game, but you've got to win moments in the game. And certainly, and Harris hasn't had a touch. Scott hasn't had a touch.
Daisy Pearce only had 2.
That's right. And so if you don't have to, it doesn't have to be your game, but there'll be moments where a grand final can be decided on one decision that's made, and it could be the last minute of the game. So they've got to be on both teams. It's going to be a line ball.
The voices of Shiloh Curtis, Rod Jamieson. It's a ripping contest in the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. We'll take a quick break and see if we can sneak in multiple ARIA award-winning artist Jessica Mauboy, who is our halftime entertainment here at the Adelaide Oval. Great to have your company on ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital. It's time for the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. Federal Labor leader Anthony Albanese has declared himself the underdog going into the federal election. It's widely expected the election will be called tomorrow for either May 14 or May 21. Most opinion polls have the opposition well ahead on a two-party preferred basis going into the campaign. However, Mr Albanese says history would suggest that Labor has a challenging task in front of it.
We have a mountain to climb. The government goes into this election as favourites. Governments win, get re-elected much more often than government changes hands in this country. And Scott Morrison has a considerable advantage.
Britain will send Ukraine more military equipment to help it resist Russian attacks. The Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, says Moscow will not escape punishment after the attack at Kramatorsk station in eastern Ukraine, which killed at least 50 people. He says Russian President Vladimir Putin has inflicted systematic slaughter on innocent people. Mr Johnson has revealed that the equipment being sent to Ukraine is highly sophisticated defensive weaponry.
More Starstreak anti-aircraft missiles, which fly at 3 times the speed of sound, another 800 anti-tank missiles, and precision munitions capable of lingering in the sky until directed to their target.
Victoria Police say the coroner will conduct an inquest into the deaths of a female police officer and a man killed in a 3-car collision near Mildura in the state's northwest. Initial investigations have found a 23-year-old man driving a ute veered into the path of an unmarked police car in Redcliffs around 10 o'clock last night. He died at the scene. A 25-year-old female senior constable was also killed in the crash, while a 43-year-old male senior constable was flown to hospital in a critical but stable condition. Chief Commissioner Shane Patton says it's a tragic incident for the family and friends of those who died, as well as the wider police force.
The senior constable, our deceased member, has been in the job only for 6 years, but been up at Mildura Highway Patrol since 2021. And again, a highly respected and competent officer, well thought of. You become at a loss of words to describe this. It's an absolute tragedy.
The Northern Territory's Anti-Corruption Commissioner has confirmed allegations that the ICAC secretly recorded an interview with the NT's former opposition leader. Amy Colpert has more.
ICAC Commissioner Michael Riches says a secret recording taken of former opposition leader Gary Higgins by ICAC staff was inappropriate and has referred the case for independent investigation. The ABC has confirmed Mr Higgins was approached by the ICAC to take part in an interview to offer background information, in which he was secretly recorded. The incident allegedly happened before Mr Riches began in the role last year. He says conduct of that kind will not happen while he is Commissioner. Mr Higgins says he has now passed on information to the independent ICAC inspector Bruce McClintock for his investigation.
Meanwhile, the NT has recorded 471 new cases of COVID-19 in the latest reporting period. 24 people are in hospital, with 8 requiring oxygen. There are no patients in intensive care. The US media company Discovery has completed its merger with its rival Warner Media. The BBC's David Willis has the story.
Discovery's acquisition of Warner Media for just over $40 billion will add the Warner Brothers film library, which includes the Batman and Harry Potter franchises, as well as sitcoms such as Friends, to Discovery's existing network of outlets such as Animal Planet, the Food Network, and its namesake Discovery Channel. The new company will have a total staff of around 30,000, although several of Warner Media's senior executives have already left, and it's thought cost savings resulting from the merger could lead to further job losses.
Cameron Smith is the best placed of the Australians at the halfway mark of the US Masters Golf Tournament at Augusta National in Georgia. The Queenslander shot a second round of 2 over 74 and sits among a group of 4 players tied for 6 on 2 under par, 6 strokes behind leader Scotty Scheffler, who's on 8 under. Smith recovered well after a tough start to his round and says the conditions made it difficult to be too aggressive.
I feel as though I hit lots of really quality shots into the green and just really didn't have any birdie opportunities. It was so windy and gusty out there, quite hard to get the speed on the greens as well. So, yeah, it was, I think 2 over in the end probably wasn't the worst.
This is ABC News.
It was the dream. The freedom of the ocean.
It's just life. Partying, surfing, starting a business with your friends.
If you could find a way to sell paradise.
It's selling an idea of summers that never end. We're making board shorts.
We're going to be rich.
Could you ever get it back?
It is my company. You're salty, mate. Put that loyalty, huh?
Catch new Aussie drama, Barons.
Sorry. Trader.
Start Sunday, April 24 on ABC TV or ABC iView.
The 2022 AFLW Grand Final.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Hewitt took the mark, stepped off her line and is called to play on but didn't know. Got boot to ball under pressure into the 50 again. It works for them. Straight to Hatchard from 45. Heads to the goal square. Woodland's there. Brought it to ground. Ponta was front and square. Left it for Phillips, who snaps on the left. She delivers on the big stage once again. Harris can't get a fly, and waiting at the back is Gould. Nice intercept mark for Adelaide.
Got to find another way, the D's, and here it is.
Oh, dangerous kick. It's picked off by Bannon, who runs into an open goal square. And Melbourne have their first goal of the grand final, just what they needed.
The AFLW Grand Final.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
It's been an outstanding, enthralling contest at the Adelaide Oval, the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. Adelaide have the lead at the moment by 10 points. It is currently 2-5-17 to 1-1-7, but Melbourne's certainly starting to find some momentum after a slow start. We'll see what's in store in the second half. Aaron Bryans, Jess Webster with you alongside Rod Jamieson and Shiloh Curtis. Still to come today in AFL men's action following this contest. We'll take you to the SCG with Brett Spriggan, the call team for the Swans up against North Melbourne. And then the twilight fixture will see Collingwood host the Eagles at Docklands. And to finish, a double-header across the country. The MCG will see Richmond play the Western Bulldogs, and at Perth Stadium, Fremantle will play the Giants. Great to have your company this afternoon on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital and online. Let's head downstairs and catch a little bit of our halftime entertainment with multiple ARIA award-winning artist Jessica Mauboy.
I don't wanna be rude, but I'm on bamboo. Hey, Dickie, yeah. Hey, Dickie, yeah. Oh, Dickie, yeah. Say, hold up, baby, won't you let me get a little spin, yeah. You do the most, you hate to close. It's hard for me to breathe. Can I get a moment? Yeah. Can I get a moment? Can I get a moment to myself? Hey, hey, Hold up, baby, won't you let me get a little space? You do the most, you're way too close. Can I get a moment? Yeah. Can I get a moment? Can we get a moment to ourselves? Can I get a moment? Can I get a moment? Yeah, ladies, break it down. Say, can I get a moment? Can I get a moment? Can I get a moment? Hey, hey, hey.
The sounds of Jessica Marboy downstairs at the Adelaide Oval, the halftime entertainment for the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. At the moment, the Crows lead 2-5-17 to Melbourne's 1-1-7. The goal scorers so far, Wanda Phillips, Hewitt and Bannon. Hewitt's was the first of the game, marking on the goal line. Phillips got a nice little snap from about 30 out at the northern end, and Bannon cut off a kick across the goal from Gould out of nowhere, marched in to kick Melbourne's first of the afternoon. Back and forth affair in the second quarter, certainly a bit of a preview of what might be to come in the second half. The leading possession getters of the game so far, Anne Hatchard with 15 disposals and a behind. Caitlin Gould has 11 alongside Ebony Marinoff. The best for Melbourne, Karen Paxman has 10. And as we touched on before the break, Daisy Pearce stuck on 2 and was stuck on the bench for a large period of the second quarter as well. Shiloh Curtis, great to have you here in Adelaide this afternoon alongside Rod Jamieson. Does it feel like it's going to be a thrilling finish?
Oh, absolutely. It feels like it does feel like a bit of a foot race, and every time the Crows sort of edge ahead, Melbourne responds in some way, and then you feel like Melbourne's got the momentum and the Crows just up the ante again. And so it's just a really lovely arm wrestle of a game. It's a good game for, I think, footy purists. Who knows what we'll see in the third quarter? Often when it gets broken open, of course, that premiership quarter. Will Melbourne come out and do what they did last week against the Demons? They won like four clearances in a row and then were able to get some scoreboard separation. Or will the Crows do exactly the same thing back to the Demons? Or will they just keep doing what we've seen and take it all the way to the wire, and maybe it might be decided by a late kick? Who knows? But either way, it's an awesome contest.
We just spoke about how even these two teams are. So having a look in the middle, centre clearances, 3 to Adelaide, 1 to Melbourne. Stoppage clearances, 9 apiece. Hit-outs, 10 apiece. Like freeze forward, 12 in favour of Melbourne, 7 to Adelaide. So, that sort of you could show that a couple of ways or different ways. But I think the thing for Melbourne, go inside 50, and they've had 11 inside 50s for only 2 shots on goal. So that's probably a huge area where, and we were talking about off air as well as just prior to at the half time, that they just need. I wouldn't mind seeing Taylor Harris go to a wing and just change the structure up forward a little bit, and then Adelaide then need to just work away. Do they stay or do they go with her up onto the wing and put a key defender on her?
I used to play footy with Taylor Harris back in Brisbane. There was a training session one day. We decided to throw her into the ruck. She's taken the ruck tap. She's run onto it. She's gathered. She's gone to 50 and nailed it flush. And we actually clapped. So she has the athleticism and the footy IQ, I think, to go into the middle, because she could do anything.
And it only needs to be 5 or 10 minutes just to break things open and it is only 2 goals, 5 to 1-1. So it's not Melbourne get 1, 2, 3 goals ahead. It's going to make a challenge.
The blemish with Harris's game is that she's not super defensive. So you can put her in the middle, but you then have almost a +1 or a +half further up the ground, because she won't necessarily do the work because she's so attacking and offensive as a player that, you lose possession of the footy and you lose,
But if you don't have the footy, that's the, if you've got the footy, it's
That's totally right. But in a game that's so close like this, there's a good chance he won't have the footy for moments, yeah? And so what she does behind the footy, and that's my concern around Harris being further up the ground. I do think they're going to have to split their forwards potentially and just try and drag some of that congestion away from the ball. Get Harris to play almost, I think, pretty much what they did last week, and play her almost as a decoy forward. Drag out some of the defenders. They won't not go with her, but that'll just free up those really fleet-footed smalls, and McNamara, Bannon, Hoare. Shelley Scott hasn't touched it yet. Maybe she's a bit sore. We saw she pulled up a bit short maybe in the warm-up. So those players really haven't had a look in, and Pearce, just the 2 touches. So, there's opportunity for players who haven't yet had an impact should they take Harris out of the contest.
I don't want to make it about Taylor and be centric around it. What's her mindset like, Jess? When she's down, is she super hard on herself, or does she just sort of try and put that behind her pretty quickly, then sort of get on with it a little bit, or does she...
She's definitely unique. I think that she has grown as a footballer so much. Obviously, I played with her when she was 15 to 17 and she was a teenager. And I think her evolution as a footballer in the AFLW, I think she's getting a lot better with her mindset. And so I don't think that she goes into perhaps lapses that she used to go into. Yep. So I think that she's in the time of her career where she wants to own this moment. So I think Taylor Harris, she's got to fight to the final siren.
She's matured a lot. This is probably the most mature I've seen Taylor's football, I think since she was playing under 18 national champs when she was 12. That she had to get a special permit for her to play in the under 18 national. First one we ran in 2010. She was so young but so talented. But this is the most mature we've ever seen. And what was interesting, Pearce was on the bench for most, the back half of that quarter. She needs Pearce to perform at her best and just mentally stay in the game. Pearce kind of reins her in a little bit, or guides her, provides her a bit of, spiritual guidance out on the field. And she's spoken quite openly. I think Kelly Underwood wrote a really beautiful piece about their relationship this week. And I think maybe Pearce not being on the field for those last few moments can have an impact. I think for Harris to play her best football, Pearce needs to be alongside her just to guide her movement and guide her head and keep her moving. And Pearce is like a coach on the field anyway. So amazingly talented forward line that they've got. Pearce out there coaching them into position. She doesn't need to touch the ball as long as the others are.
And is Daisy most dangerous? Like, again, Erin up forward, doesn't need much time, much space, and close to goal. Daisy's at that same stage of her career. Can she go into the middle across the wing for a little bit just to get into the game? Absolutely,
and they saw that last week. When there were moments last week where Brisbane started to get the upper hand, Mixton had flicked her back behind the footy. And that's probably where, Pearce has always played her best football. She's a defensive mid rather than... And so this forward line incarnation of her career is really different for her because she's so smart. But as a midfield, when we played against each other and, in Victoria, her best position is that sort of defensive mid, that quarterback behind the football, feed it back to her, and then her decision-making and her execution is just so sublime that she's so useful there. They will do that. If they have to roll the dice, they'll flick Daisy back behind the footy and they'll play her as a mid that falls back loose, or they'll give up a half-back position and play her off the back half there.
Charlotte Curtis, Rod Jamieson, your experts this afternoon. Aaron Bryans and Jess Webster with you for the call. Now, don't want to throw you under the bus here, Jess, but you are voting on the best on ground for this afternoon, so maybe stick your fingers in the air for this one. Shiloh, Jamo, who do you think at halftime has been the best out there so far?
Oh, well, I think for Melbourne, Karen Paxman is, I think, the player that's keeping Melbourne seriously in the game at the moment, in and around the midfield. And look, they've had glimpses of others as well that have done well and stood up when they needed to. If you go stats, in terms of, Hatchard's had a tremendous first half, 15 disposals, 6 contested, 4 clearances, and she's kicked one behind. Ebony Marinoff continues to tackle hard, leads the way with 5 for Adelaide. Tackling, on the other hand, you go over to Melbourne and there's a multiple there, 28 to 33. So I don't think there's been a real clear standout for me at the moment. Probably Hatchie is the lady that I would say that's probably leading the way at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's one player that's determining the scoreboard outcome at the moment. Both teams really, spreading the load and spreading the love a little bit. So third quarter is where it's probably all going to happen. We'll start to see where the cream will rise. I'm salivating at that thought. This is going to be awesome.
Not the advice that Jess probably wanted to hear, to be honest.
Thanks, guys.
Jess, we have no idea. I hope you get it right, by the way.
Yeah, no pressure, right?
Adelaide lead by 10 points heading into the third term, 2-5-17 to 1-1-7. The goal scorers so far, Phillips, Hewitt and Bannon. Jasmine Hewitt has had a pretty outstanding game as well, to be honest. One of the 3 inclusions who probably wasn't going to play, only because of Montana McKinnon's suspension does she get a game, and kicks the first of the afternoon, has a couple of intercept marks down back as well. She's certainly shown why Gold Coast had a look at her and why she's come back to Adelaide.
Yeah, just the third game for her this year, and a good example of you just got to keep turning up, don't you, and giving yourself an opportunity and just keep doing the work, and sometimes the cards fall your way. And she'll certainly be aware that she's probably playing for 2 players today, both herself and McKinnon, who's missed out, and she's certainly playing her role. And that's all you want to do. In big games like this, you want to know that you played good footy. You don't want to be one of the liabilities out there, and she certainly hasn't been that today at all. She's been fantastic.
27 degrees at the moment at the Adelaide Oval. Picturesque scenes. Great crowd in as well. Lower level looks packed. Hopefully it can continue to build across the afternoon. The second half about to come your way on ABC Radio, Sport Digital, online, Grandstand AFLW, the 2022 Grand Final. Adelaide up by 10 points. Can Melbourne fire back in the second half? Jess Webster to kick us off once again.
So the opportunity presents for someone to stand up in their second half and help their side towards lifting up that silverware. The Rucks do battle in the middle. Marinoff tackled to the ground by Hanks. It spills to Hatchard. Hacks the ball towards half forward. Woodland. The ball skips past her. And she'll battle against Colvin. Woodland picks up the footy. Right foot snap towards goal. It's going right to the line. Marked on the goal line. Danielle Ponta has clunked it in the square.
I think in the first half, Ash Woodland was a bit fumbly too. Like her, she's got great speed. Her first couple of touches were a bit unorthodox about how she went it. Took it clean, pressure came, and Danielle Ponta one-on-one.
So from point blank range, Ponta drills at home, and Adelaide have their third. They move to 3-5-23. Melbourne 1-1-7. Less than a minute played in this third term, and the Crows skip back out to a 16-point lead.
Well, Woodland did the right thing there. She saw that it was a one-on-one in the goal square. Ponta had the front position. She was able to hold her opponent out, just got the hips in front. No mean feat against Libby Birch, by the way. But Ponta just so strong in the core and just got her centre of gravity nice and low. Was able to hold out, use her backside a little bit, push out her opponent, protect the drop zone, took a chest mark in the end and finished off beautifully. Second deck.
The cousin of Cyril Rioli, Danielle Ponta. He knows how to stand up in big games, and so does Danielle. She'll be looking for her second premiership this afternoon. Great way to start the second half to put the Crows up by 16.
She's going pretty high too. 9 disposals and always dangerous.
In the middle, Gould won it down. Marinoff head over the footy. Had Purcell on her tail, but got a kick away to half forward. He throws up, but couldn't clunk it for Melbourne. Goes again. Spins out of a tackle. Clears defensive 50 with the handball for Hanks. It was a bit long. She did well to gather in the square, but it's run down by Martin. Got it away. Paxman comes in to assist. She turns it over. The handball straight to Martin. Handball inside to Thompson. Adelaide through the square. Flat kick into the 50. Colvin coming across. Takes the intercept mark for the Demons.
Hanks was really slow to get up from that tackle. She's going okay. A little bit proppy, but going okay.
Colvin kicks short to Lampard. Directs a pass into the centre square. It's fisted away by Gay. Fisted away from Gay by Thompson. Players dive on, and we've got a stoppage inside the centre square.
Stevie Lee be disappointed with that kick. Had all the time in the world, settled down and kicked it straight to the opposition.
2.5 gone, third term. Adelaide with the opening goal of the second half, and then win it again through Phillips. Pumps it long into attack. Woodland gets fingertips to it. Colvin out the back, spun at a 360 by Woodland. It spills to Goldrick. Measures a pass to Lily Mithen, who marks at left half back for the Demons.
The North Geelong product heads down the line on the western side. Finds Scott. This will be her first touch of the grand final. Comes early in the third.
Sarah Allen's a star.
Runs around Allen on the mark. Scott heads up to left half forward for the Demons. It pops up in the air. Marinoff in front position brought it down. Spilt to Hoare. Handball off to the running Hanks. Was a bit behind her. And Adelaide can mop it up. Marinoff steps through traffic. Long towards the 50. The Demons again have numbers sitting back. Colvin will take the intercept and hand it off.
How's the awareness from Marinoff there? Just sidestep. Just let him run past me. Okay, I'll come through.
She's done that twice too, just with, again, the time to settle down, to find a target. She just kicked long, 2-on-1, too easy to intercept.
So Birch flares it out wide to Paxman, who kicks short to Lampard. Long kick down the line, flying across the pack. Randall. Wow, we've seen that time and time again. You talk about moments in a grand final, and Randall's just produced that. Kick short to Gould, who also kicks short to Marinoff, who's marked wing position eastern side.
She's just won the Courageous Award so many times, and she's always looking to hurt the opposition, but she's a danger to herself at times.
She is amazing, Randall. Jeez.
Marinoff calls for a lead, doesn't get one, so kicks into space and turns it over. Birch sitting in the hole will take the intercept.
gives you an indication of the sort of player they've missed for most of the season or the second half of the season. They're still in a grand final without their captain Randall who can play like that.
It's a really good point because Aaron missed a lot of the games too, so Adelaide were able to get through when there was heavy reliance on those two players for a number of years.
Birch went short to Bannon, down sent towards centre wing eastern side. Hatchard all alone in front position comes across to cut it off. Wastes little time. Piercing kick up to left half forward. On the bounce, Jones can gather. Wheels around a tackler. Into the 50. She's looking for Woodland. Brought it to ground. Trying to pick it up against McNamara. McNamara one out, but is wrapped up in the tackle. Woodland pulls it out. She's getting tackled. It's not going anywhere. 45 out from home, straight in front for the Adelaide Crows, leading by 16 points.
So Pearce palms it down, then picks up her own footy, gives it to Gay, who kicks into the centre of the ground. It's chopped off again by Hatchard. Fisted away from her, but she gets booed to ball and kicks towards half forward. Jones can't go with it. Now Charlton tries to go off the deck. It's picked up by Lauren Pearce, who's wrapped up in a tackle by Button. Umpire says play on.
He was blindsided then, Jess, too. That was an absolute... You just can't... Well, she couldn't dispose. It's a wonderful tackle. Should have been a free to Adelaide.
Tossed up half forward for the Crows. Gould won it down straight towards Button. Got boot to ball towards the right forward pocket. Bounces in space. Picked up by Lampard. Gives it back to Colvin. Now McNamara can wheel and exit the 50. A skyward ball that doesn't have a lot of carry. Bounces just inside the line and over. Lasso rule going the way of Sarah Allen for Adelaide.
I get the feeling Melbourne needs a bit of composure with that rebound kick. Maybe Pearce behind the footy might help.
So 7 inside 50s now to 0, going the Crows' way in this third term. Ball inside 50s, fisted to ground. McNamara, her kick outside defensive 50, finds Fitzsimon. Dangerous kick on the 45, looking for Gay, who picks it up off the deck. Gives it to Goldrick, who handballs back to Fitzsimon. Bounces off a couple of Crows. Sends the ball into the central corridor, but it's picked off by Jones of Adelaide.
That's the kick. That's the kick that's letting Melbourne down. Just turn over and the Crows just go forward again.
Jones short to Marinoff, the first player to 1,000 disposals. Heads up to right half forward. There's a player down behind play. Big rise from Munyard. Couldn't clunk it. Blocking free going the way of Melbourne. And it'll be Tia Charlton who's escorted off by a couple of trainers. We'll check in with Liz Walsh very shortly to see what the actual incident was there.
Friendly fire against Allen, just a head knock.
Meanwhile, Goldrick plays on at left half back for the D's. Handball dangerously inbound to Lampard. The 1-2 still in a bit of danger. Goldrick gives it off to Heath. She's wrapped up low to ground. Got a handball away just as she hit the deck. Plenty of Crows dive on it. Hatchard, one of them. She's wrapped up by Heath. Ball up in the centre square. How's Liz Walsh? How's Tia Charlton looking?
I'm fine, but Tia Charlton, she's sitting on the bench in the hands of the doctors. They're probably giving her a concussion test. I'll come back when I've got more news.
So Lauren Pearce clears it from the stoppage. But sitting back there is Sarah Allen of the Crows. Her kick out wide, looking for Munyard. Fisted away by her. Great follow-up work by Munyard to apply the tackle on Hanks. Ball spills to ground. Martin collects. She's stripped of it. Now Considine has a go. She's brought to ground by McNamara. Umpire says, I will have it. Ball up right in front of the interchange gates on the broadcast side.
Adelaide by 16 points. Aaron Bryans, Jess Webster, Rod Jamison, Shiloh Curtis with you. Pearce won it down. Looking for West right inside the boundary line. Snaps around the body. Up to left half forward through the hands of Harris. There's a holding free in the contest. And it will go to Taylor Harris for her first kick of the grand final. It's her third appearance on the big stage, yet to have a win. Heads into the 50, sat it up in the marking contest, hoarded well, got rid of Allen, races towards the goal line and just sneaks it home. That's the answer that Melbourne needed. Kate Hoare at the back, used the body, and the two-time leading goal kicker gets her first of the afternoon. Back down to a 10-point game. 3-5-23 plays 2-1-13. And we've travelled 8.5 in the third quarter on Grandstand AFLW.
Well, I just feel the third quarter here started a little bit like the first. It was all Adelaide just in there, deep in their forward 50. But I guess multiple frees and then Taylor House getting the touch. But it had to get some individual brilliance by Kate Hoare to out body, because it was just a one-on-one contest in the end. And I think there was a bit of hope in going forward as opposed to the advantage of one side. And she was able to produce.
The difference for me is that Adelaide have upped the pressure. Melbourne have had no space, and we see the pressure kicks through the middle of the ground, the turnovers. Every time Melbourne go near the football, there is someone on their tail. There is absolutely no room for them to move right now.
So the D's are staying in touch.
Pearce has gone behind the footy. She started as a defensive winger on the corner of the square, floating now. She's a +1 behind the ball.
So from the restart, Mithen goes off the deck. Ball towards half forward. Umpire's picked off a free kick. It's going the way of Paxman. So Paxman can send Melbourne back into attack. Called to play on and now is unsure where to go. Handballs backwards to Pearce from the centre square. Low ball inside 50s marked by Harris.
And that's why you have Pearce behind the football. Her execution is absolutely exquisite, and that's exactly what she can do.
So Mick Steniers made the change. Daisy Pearce having an influence. Delivers the pass to Harris, and this is Taylor Harris's moment to shine in the grand final.
Paxman on her
and
own.
She passes it off to Paxman. So Paxman can line up for a shot on goal. 40 metres out, 45-degree angle to the left.
Really poor defensive work by Adelaide. Just to allow just to walk on down pretty much.
Yeah, she just strolled on in. The synergy between Paxman and Pearce, they've played so much football together, both at junior level in the under 19 Victorian team. They played together at Darebin. Now they're here at the D's.
5-time All-Australian Karen Paxman. Kick goes across the face of goal. Through for a rush behind Adelaide. 3-5-23. Melbourne 2-2-14. The margin's 9 points. 10.5 played in the third.
Well, it's a better build-up again by Melbourne. 2 deep entries, 2 scoreboard opportunities. Much, much better from them.
Single-digit margin. Out of the defensive 50 go the Crows. Bedell with a long kick to the pack. Spoiled down to Thompson. Nudged it forward for Martin, who becomes the tackler on Mithen. Great little judo flip there. She brings her to ground.
She's just a tackling monster, she is. She's incredible for her size.
Ball up to come right in front of where Liz Walsh is seated.
Yeah, hi. Naj Allen has just left the ground. She went with an AFL representative, not a doctor. So I'll find out what's going on there.
From the ruck contest, Goldrick got a quick clearance through the square. Bounced up for McNamara, who was up against Considine. Threw a fist up but couldn't touch it. McNamara kicks a tumbler up to half forward. Sarah Allen sitting back for the Crows. Hands it off to Rachich. Then Marinoff nearly run down by Fitzsimon, but the pressure was enough. Pearce again. This is Daisy sitting back. Charlotte Curtis has nailed it. Mick Stenier has made the change, and Melbourne have momentum.
The answer. We've got the answer, Aaron.
So Pearce delivers nicely to Mithen, who's marked inside the centre circles. Loops the handball back over to Pearce. Gets it back, Mithen. Now from centre half forward. Kicks long inside defensive 50. Shelley Scott at the back. It's picked up by Bedell, who gives it backwards to Gore. Hand pass to Rachich. Short kick finds Marinoff. So Adelaide defence once again standing tall as Marinoff flares it out wide to Allen, who's got it at left half back.
Go long over the top.
Heads down the eastern side, spots up Mules, who's all alone in the hole, just behind centre wing. Can go as well because no one stands the mark, but the bounce just stops on the deck. Has to pick it up. Spirals it up towards half forward, brought down by Gould, straight towards Phillips. A tumbler into the 50. Melbourne have numbers waiting back. Birch under a bit of pressure from Pontus. She's wrapped up, spun to ground. And it'll be a free kick going Melbourne's way for a high. The crowd thought for sure that was holding the ball.
That is.
Yeah, having a look on the replay, not sure about that one.
Free kick to Melbourne, 9-point deficit.
So Birch kicks it to Paxman, who gets around Ponter on the mark. From right half back, long driving kick down the line. It's off hands, at the back, Bannon just hacks it out of midair with her boot. It's palmed down by Hatchard, but spills to West, who gives it to Hoare. Handball looking for West. Didn't hit the target. Now West has to lay a tackle against Allen, and we've got a stoppage. True centre wing position, eastern side.
Melbourne's on here. They're up. They're on their toes. They've got numbers at the contest. They were +3 at that contest then.
Pearce with the double slap down, looking for space for the D's. Zanker put down Hatchard without it. Paxman can pick it up. Handball, a turnover. Sitting back was Jones. Into the square, she uses Munyard. Retreats back. Sliding attempt there from Gore and caught in the tackle as she tried to get to her feet. Ball's held up short of half forward for Melbourne. Ball up to come just inside the centre square. 3-5-23 plays 2-2-14. 13.5 gone in the third.
So Pearce takes it out of the ruck. Quick kick inside 50 is chopped off by Rachich, who handballs to Sarah Allen. Her kick into the centre corridor. Looking for Phillips. Great work by Goldrick to collect the footy. She's brought to ground. Caught in a tackle. So Tia Charlton and Najwa Allen both off the ground for Adelaide. The two heads collided in a contest on the wing. So Adelaide with a couple of players down on the bench.
In the centre square, Phillips puts her head over the footy, tries to wrench it out. Marinoff came in. There's a throw. It's going Melbourne's way against Erin Phillips. Playing on quickly is Goldrick. Hands it out wide towards Pearce. To the 50 she goes with a tumbler. Fitzsimon cuts it off. She's wrapped up. Ball goes to ground. Plenty of players diving onto it. Purcell tries to rip it out. Now just outside the 50, Pearce stands her ground. Gives it back to Fitzsimon. Around the body, it's bouncing towards the top of the goal square. Scott's outnumbered. Tried to get it for the D's. Bedell came in and was brought down. Held up, 20 out from goal. Scott puts her head over the footy. Got it out to McNamara, who had a fumble. Gather, tackle, Mithen, dropped it, missed her boot. No free kick. Play on, still inside attacking 50. Ball up 30 out from the Demons' goal. Trailing by 9. Action-packed grand final on Grandstand AFLW.
That has to be incorrect disposal or holding the ball, surely.
So not long to go in this third quarter. Melbourne into attack. Zanker extracts the footy. Handball looking for Mithen. Doesn't hit its target. Great tackle applied by Thompson, but it's a slinging tackle. So Mithen's going to take the free kick. 35 out, directly in front.
Loves a big moment, Lily Mithen. She's kicked some big goals, of course. One recently to get them into the finals last year. In the finals last year against the GWS Giants to win the game. Lovely user of the ball.
Lily Mithen is having an outstanding season for Melbourne Demons. This to bring them back within 3 points. It skews off the side of the boot, wobbles into the pocket and is marked by Bedell.
Are there any Melbourne fans here today, by the way?
It's starting to get a little loud, isn't it? I think there's some frustration too. It's 17-7 freeze in favour of Melbourne.
And I wonder if the crowd senses that Melbourne has got a bit of a sniff here. They're behind on the scoreboard, but they're controlling the play. The ball's been in their forward half. They are plus 17 in the disposal count for this quarter.
So no score from that set shot. Melbourne trailing by 9. Ball's made its way out to the eastern side. It is held up close to the boundary line. Umpire circles and calls a push late in that contest. There were players all over the footy and it's going Adelaide's way. Ponta pops it down towards the eastern side on the logo. 2 Ds flew for it. Eventually the mark's taken. And Maddie Gay has it right on the logo centre wing.
Harrison Hanks on the bench, waiting to get on. Ball's not coming anywhere near them.
Hands it off to Pearce, now to the centre circle. Spots Lampard. She's in a bit of space. Uses McNamara. Kick into the 50 for Melbourne. Plenty of Crows waiting. Randall came across, completely burnt Rachich. Knocked it to ground, though. Biddell puts her head over the football, can't gather, but Gore can. Handball back to Allen, it's smothered. Great diving attempt from Scott. Adelaide still waiting back, though, with numbers. Randall pops it up. Handball to Rachich, who clears to the western side. Sitting back was Heath, lost it in the air, went to ground. And Maddie Gay will have the last possession of the third quarter in the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. It's going to be a thrilling finish. 9 points the margin, 3-5-23, plays 2-2-14. The goal scorers so far, all individual. For Adelaide, Phillips, Ponta and Hewitt. For the Demons, Hoare and Bannon. It's great to have your company on the biggest day in women's football. A cracker of a finish coming up on Grandstand AFLW.
If you're streaming the unmissable final season of Killing Eve on ABC iView, you'll now need to log in with an ABC account to watch.
When does the show start?
Log in today to add it to your watch list so you never miss an episode. And if you're binging great dramas or comedies or docos or Starstruck,
That's so cool.
you'll be able to pick up watching where you left off across your logged-in devices. Log in with your ABC account and make it yours on ABC iView.
The 2022 AFLW Grand Final.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
Woodland, the ball skips past her. And she'll battle against Colvin. Woodland picks up the footy, right foot snap towards goal. It's going right to the line. Marked on the goal line. Danielle Ponta has clunked it in the square. So from point blank range, Ponta drills it home and Adelaide have their third.
Up to left half forward through the hands of Harris. There's a holding free in the contest and it will go to Taylor Harris for her first kick of the grand final. It's her third appearance on the big stage, yet to have a win. Heads into the 50, sat it up in the marking contest. Hoarded well, got rid of Allen, races towards the goal line and just sneaks it home. That's the answer that Melbourne needed.
The AFLW Grand Final.
On ABC Radio and ABC Sport Digital.
been great to have your company for the 2022 AFLW Grand Final at the Adelaide Oval, and we still don't know who is going to win this year's premiership. Adelaide, they're looking for their third flag. Melbourne, looking for the premiership double alongside the men's. It's currently the Crows with a 9-point lead heading into the final quarter. 3-5-23 plays 2-2-14. Aaron Bryans and Jess Webster with you, your experts, to preview the final quarter. Give us some sort of inkling about where it might be headed. Charlo Curtis, Rod Jamieson.
Well, it's probably what we started with, a 0-0 draw, and we're still sort of sitting in that way. I know we know that the Crows are ahead on the scoreboard, just the 9 points. It's a goal and a half, but, geez, the game is it's so equal. The disposal count +1 in favour of Melbourne, 151, 152. Disposal efficiency from Melbourne, just a little bit better. Their ball use, I think, has been a little bit better as the game has gone on, of course. The marks +9 in favour of Melbourne in the mark count. The tackle count +6 in favour of Adelaide. For me, the clearance count was a key thing in that quarter for that ball movement forward for Melbourne. We know it's been a challenge for them being able to get the metres gained downfield, but that quarter then, they won the clearance count 8-4, and that's been really helpful for them. They swung Pearce in behind the footy, as we spoke about, so they've given up a player in their forward line, and I think that probably had an impact on their ability to score, but it stopped Adelaide from scoring, and I think that's been critical for them because Adelaide started that quarter brilliantly.
Yeah, look, and they had a lot of the inside 52. The pressure was up there a lot. They just couldn't get something on the scoreboard, and I've been super impressed. Sinead Goldrick and Libby Birch in defence, they have just been incredible for Melbourne, the way that they've been standing up, tackling, defending and getting back and doing what they need to do. McNamara, I love her, just a tiny little body, but she loves the contest and be able and got some speed about her as well. So a couple of real significant moves in that quarter by Melbourne to be able to get them back into the game. A couple of players that hadn't touched it but strategically better. And Adelaide, they were tested. They got their defence. They were put under some serious heat in that quarter. And the challenge now, you got Tia Charlton and Nazma Allen. They're actually they've got some injury concerns going into this last quarter.
Let's check in on how they are doing. Liz Walsh down on the boundary.
Yeah, the Crows got a bit banged up that quarter. So of major concern would actually be Eloise Jones. She has left the ground with the doctor. Her footy boot off on her left foot. So we'll see. Oh, here she comes. So she's obviously had some strapping done. Najwa Allen's back out there. Her head is heavily bandaged. Erin Phillips needed a bit of a rub down at 3/4 time. I'm still waiting to hear how Tia Charlton is and whether she will return to the field.
Plenty of injury concerns for the Crows, but they won't mind because they have the lead at the moment. 9 points the margin, 3-5-23 plays 2-2-14. Following this contest, we're going to stick with the presentations and eventually we'll take you to the SCG where the Swans host the Roos. If that game does start before we're done, feel free to jump on the AFL app. There will be an ABC stream available for you if you'd like to hear that game. Brett Spriggan and the commentary team over at the SCG. Later today, Collingwood and the West Coast Eagles, Richmond and the Western Bulldogs, and Fremantle up against GWS. But for now, all eyes are fixed on the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. It's anyone's game right now. One of the best we've seen and certainly could be the end of an era as the competition expands to 18 clubs next season. Adelaide up by 9. We yet to really see anyone take over this game, individually that is, which is a nightmare for, I imagine, the Invest on Ground vote givers. Hopefully someone can stand up in this final quarter.
Oh, I just think Goldrick's been tremendous. Paxman's been good. Birch has been outstanding for Melbourne. And then again, you continue to go over. Hatchard's had 20. Marinoff, who's had a lot of it, hasn't had a big impact. Like, she normally gets the footy, she tackles hard and gets it forward. I think Melbourne have pressured her really well to lessen her impact.
For a defender to be 15 possessions, you have 15 possessions in a grand final, and to be the leading ball winner on the ground speaks a lot about how much pressure she's been under, but how much football she's been able to win as well. And there's been a lot of really tight, hard work. 8 contested possessions, so 50% of that. 3 clearances as well, all of them effective, and plus 1 inside 50. You'll take that from a defender any day of the week, and a disposal efficiency of 60%. So Jess, just put that one down on your list of players that could get the votes at the end of the game.
Jess voting alongside Gemma Bastiani, Bet Goddard, Lauren Wood and Laura Kane.
Let's give it to a defender for a change. Bloody midfielders.
The good thing about having 5 judges is that at least it's going to be a little bit unique. So
maybe a defender might get a vote too.
Maybe there might be a bit split across the afternoon.
And I was not a defender, by the way. I couldn't defend to save myself. I was a bit of Taylor Harris.
It's only fair that midfielders get everything else. You could share it on grand final day with the backs, I reckon. Thrilling finish coming up. Who wants it more? The 2022 Premiership on the line. Jess Webster in the final quarter.
Gould wins the tap. Straight down the throat of Marinoff. Quickly gets boot to ball. Pearce goes off the deck. It spills to Gay, who hacks it forward for Melbourne. Inside 50. Harris has a fly. Couldn't come down with it. Bannon now a chance at ground level. Paddles it to herself. Then collects. Is stripped of it by Allen. Ball still alive. I think that's Sheriff inside the forward line. Picks it up, gives it to Hoare, who's brought to ground. Umpire says, I'll have it. Hot start to this final term. Ball up inside Melbourne's forward 50, and there is an injury concern.
Yeah, the Melbourne players have called straight away for someone.
It looks like it might be Sheriff.
Looks like a shoulder too, Jess, I think. Certainly not her legs. She's got her legs up in the air waving around.
Yeah, and a lot of pain. It does look like a shoulder. So we've just momentarily stopped play here as the trainers come out to assist Sheriff.
We saw Daisy Pearce too, just at that back half. She was involved in that. The footy came out the back. Melbourne went forward. And Alyssa Bannon with the speed, she was away. The All-Australian fullback in Sarah Allen, who's done it over and over again, was able to run it down. Her and Stevie Lee Thompson might have been the only two.
Could actually be a wrist. She's just howling as she makes her way towards the benches. Play continues inside the attacking 50. Knocked away by the Crows, though. Jones off the deck through the square, looking for Phillips. She's cut off. Colvin did well, but kicked it straight towards the chest of Hatchard. She bombs it up towards right half forward. Ponta gets rid of Birch, has some space to run into. A fumble as she looks to gather, then picks it up off the bounce. Kicks towards home. There's no one waiting in the goal square, and again, the bounce doesn't favour Adelaide. Heads defensively to Heath, put her head over the footy and collided with Ponta. Ball held up in the scoreboard pocket. 15 out from home.
That is an incredible attack on the football.
She's
Ball up to come.
Amazing player, Ponta. We talk about being defensive as a forward. She was outnumbered there. She had to do the work, and she was able to create a stoppage.
Ball up at the top of the square. Lauren Pearce palms it out. Ponta's there again and holding the ball. Didn't dispose of it correctly. Advantage paid. Pearce. Long kick outside defensive 50. Rachich there for the Crows. Handball smothered by Bannon. Mithen tries to go off the deck. And Bannon over the top lays a tackle against Randall, and we've got a stoppage 60 metres out from the Crows' goal.
No score so far in the fourth. Adelaide up by 9. Tapped down by Gould, straight to Mithen for the D's though. Hands it back, looking for Hanks. Lost it, then regathered. Got away from Charlton, who's back on the ground. Nice to see a tumbler that bounces to Harris. True centre wing, hands it over the top to Bannon in the square. She's got Najwa Allen on her tail. She jumps onto the footy and Harris jumps onto her. Trying to wrench it out is Randall. She does in the end. Spun down, heavy tackle, and the umpire sees it as a sling. Free kick to the Crows skipper inside the centre square. She missed last year's grand final due to a concussion. Brilliant today and looks for the switch.
So long kick out to the outer side wing, looking for Jones, who taps it forward to Hatchard. Gets around her opponent at half forward. Pokes a kick inside 50. Goldrick back with the flight. Takes the wonderful defensive mark for Melbourne.
How the smarts from Jones then, just a big fist forward, 20 metres.
Goldrick's kick is chopped off by Charlton. It spills to Phillips, kick towards the goal square. Again, sitting back in the hole is Colvin. Handballs to Birch. Short pass is a dangerous run, but it comes off as Pearce marks inside the defensive arc.
Defensive roll this afternoon, Daisy Pearce. Short to Hanks, still inside defensive 50, closer to the arc though. Another chip kick out to Heath. This time she'll exit the 50. Kick smothered by Gould. Ricochets to left half forward for Adelaide, but McNamara's there for the Demons. Kicks down the western side through the hands of Pearce. Fitzsimon at the back. Handballs over the top to West. Has space to run into. Kicks into the 50. There's no one there except for Jones, who waited for the bounce and it didn't work for her. Bannon can mop it up. Handball inside to Hoare. Wheels around from Jones. She's caught. Spun. Handball got off. Kick out around the body. It's bouncing towards the goal face. Nearly came back. Gay, the footy gods. Gee, they're on her side, but just not enough. Minor score. Left-hand side for the Demons. 8-point game. Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Casey Sheriff for the Demons has now left the ground with the trainers, so we'll keep an eye on her, but I doubt she'll be coming back today.
One end of the ground to the other. Melbourne is probably almost one of the better movements from defence to forward, and ending with a behind, but almost a leg break into a goal.
So Bedell, long kick out to half back to a pack. It spills to Heath of Melbourne, who can send Melbourne back inside forward 50. Harris makes the contest, brings the ball to ground, spills out the back to Allen. Her rush kick outside defensive 50, out on the full. Free kick to Melbourne between wing and half forward on the broadcast side.
It's been a couple of times where Melbourne have had Bannon a little bit loose and they've elected to hand pass to the space that she's in rather than space in front of her, and just they should be promoting the space that she's got and encouraging her to use her speed and her strength. A couple of missed opportunities there.
Charlotte Curtis, Rod Jamieson, your expert. Smithen has it for the Demons. Awful kick into the 50.
That's the second worst kick I've seen Smithen ever do. The first one was a one earlier, but unusual for Smithen.
Very soft. It just sat up on the arc. Intercept taken by Phillips. Heads long back to the western side. In front position, Zanka brought it down. She's been quiet today. Munyard front and square, wrapped up in the tackle. Couldn't dispose of it, holding the ball.
That's a bit red hot, isn't it, too? I mean, great tackle. The intent was there. Couldn't do much more.
So Miven just forward of the wing, short 45 pass, spears it to Zanka.
Much better kick.
Much better. Poor Lily.
So Adelaide have plenty of numbers back. Zanka elects to just kick long to Harris in a 2-on-1. Gould comes across with the fist. Ball spills to ground. Randall picks it up, is tackled by West and Harris, brought to ground. Umpire says, I'll have it. Stoppage, 45 from home. So margin 8 points the way of the Crows. 6.5 played in the final term. Can still go anyone's way this grand final.
Zanka won it against Gould. Hatchard was there. Quick clearance was smothered. Ricochet centrally in the 50 for the Demons. Goldrick put her body on the line up against Martin. Came out. Daisy Pearce is wrapped up by a couple. Didn't really make much of an attempt to get rid of it. The umpire will give her the benefit of the doubt. Ball up. 45 out from home. Quick reset. Zanka caught behind Gould, who did well to paddle it behind her head to Considine, who speared in the tackle to ground. Had an opportunity, and holding the ball will be paid. Maddie Gay to receive it. 45 out. Slight angle to the right. Possibly too far out to score. Plenty of options waiting at the top of the goal square, though. Maddie Gay. Long run up. Wants to get as much as she can on this. Gee, it's a great kick. Skied up towards the line. Harris flew, crunched hard as she hit the deck. She's hurt. Spills in the right forward pocket. Bannon will knock it over the line. Harris clutching her right shoulder. She went early and was almost tunnelled in the air. Landed on her back, but has popped up okay.
The longer the ball stays inside 50 for the Demons, the more opportunity they're going to have, the more confidence they're going to be able to get in the minds of the Adelaide Crows players. And there's an opportunity here in the chaos of stoppages to get goals on the board.
So Zanka just gets rid of Gould in the ruck contest. It spills to McNamara. Pokes a kick into the pocket over the head of Bannon. Coming through Randall, but ran out of real estate. We've got a ball in 20 metres around from Melbourne's goal. The margin is 8 points, 8 minutes played in the final term.
So congested, isn't it, too? You're looking at maybe 6 players just outside the 50, but only just outside.
Toss back in. Gould up against Zanka once again. Zanka wins it down. She was looking for Goldrick. Used the Shepherd to get free Paxman up. Spun in the tackle. Got a handball away. Gay dives onto it. She's dived on. Ball up again. Still 25 out straight in front of the Demons' goal. They're slowly creeping forward.
The Demons probably want those loose balls to rush as behind to sort of peg back that margin. They're losing time, but not scoring.
Neither ruck gets a tap this time. Coming in, Miffin has to become the tackler. He didn't really go anywhere there. Another ball up to come.
Chelsea's on the line all on her own, so 2-on-1, Sarah Allen and Taylor Harris, but I think it's Miffin all on the own on the offensive side.
Melbourne into attack from the ruck tap. It spills to Goldrick. Gets the hands free to Gay, who shot on goals across the face, and another behind to Melbourne. They're peppering. They're within 7 points. 9 minutes played in the final term. Adelaide 3-5-23. Melbourne 2-4-16.
And of course, neither team able to make any rotations while the ball is stuck at one end of the ground. So Hanks on the bench, as is Purcell.
The Crows haven't scored since the opening minute of the third. They're up by 7. Out on the eastern side, 2-on-2 on the logo. Button did well to step through traffic. Hands it back to Hatchard. Sold some candy, then goes forward to Jones, is in space. Forward of centre wing over the top, spots Charlton. Right half forward, she'll head into the 50. Pontus alone, gets to her. Marks at 45, pop back up, play it on, races through the scoreboard pocket. Tight angle from 30, she's done it! Danielle Ponta! That is magnificent! All class in the pocket. She has two. And that might be the match winner in the grand final. A 13-point lead to the Adelaide Crows. 4-5-29 plays 2-4-16. And we've travelled 10 minutes in the final quarter on Grandstand AFL.
That started with the elite decision-making of Eloise Jones and how she was able to... She controlled, or she dictated what happened next with her ball use, and how she decided to move the ball forward, and it was able to create the free player, the loose player, allowed for Ponta to be free.
And Hatchard too, 24th disposal. She went left, right, left, held onto it, didn't it? And then Melbourne came at her, created one over the top, and then away they go. But when you use it clean, as opposed to missing the target, bounces, fumbles, it had to hit Ponta, otherwise the defence of Melbourne was going to get there. And just her smarts and nous to take a bounce and run on, kick the goal. Outstanding.
2 goals in the second half to the 2019 Premiership player in Ponta. Time running out now for Melbourne from the restart in the middle. Marinoff gets boot to ball. It's picked off by Paxman, who sends it towards half forward. Fitzsimon can't go with it. Randall at ground level squeezes a kick to half back. Hatchard in space, has a fumble. Hanks comes in and applies the pressure. Hatchard still battling at ground level. Now the cavalry arrives. Rachich gives it to Marinoff. Her kick into the centre corridor, knocked away by Phillips. It spills to McNamara. Kick inside 50. He's got too much on it, looking for Bannon. Randall right there with her. Bannon with the tackle. Could have almost been held without it. Umpire says play on. The players dive on it. Bedell picks it up. Her handball smothered by McNamara. She can't get boot to ball. Now coming in Harris. She keeps the ball alive. Handball to the pockets. Chopped off by Rachich, who gives it to Sarah Allen. Handballs across the face of goal to Allen. Najwa Allen runs across the face. Long kick out towards half back to a one-on-one contest. It spills to ground. Goldrick again is there for the Demons. Handball looking for Lauren Pearce. Handballs backwards to Daisy Pearce. Short chip inside 50, chopped off by Randall.
She's been excellent. The Crows skipper missed most of the season with a hamstring, but has delivered in the final series. Gave it to Jones up towards centre wing on the western side. Marinoff did well in the contest, hit her knees but kept the footy up to left half forward. Looked for Hewitt, applies the Shepherd for Martin, then Hewitt got it and is run down by Pearce. She's crunched out of nowhere. Ball pops out. Martin tried to give it to Woodland, cut off by the Demons. Colvin's kick, not a great one. Straight to Thompson. Centres to half forward into space. Hatchard can gather on the bounce. Handball over the top of her head to Considine. No one's on her. On the paint of 50 on the left. She hits Danielle Ponta. The Darwin-born Premiership player has it again.
Well, they've broken them, the Crows, and that break was that previous goal that Ponta kicked. At that point, Melbourne were plus 14 disposals, 22-8 in their forward half for this quarter alone, and they only got 2 behinds from it. Adelaide, from their one touch, they got a goal, and this is Ponta's second opportunity.
For 3 in the grand final, Ponta shanks it off the side of the boot, heads towards the scoreboard pocket, sits up still in play, and cleared by Birch out towards Paxman, still in defensive 50 for the Demons.
Been one of Melbourne's better players today, but that kick, not her best, is chopped off by Phillips, who's tackled by Hanks holding the ball. Melbourne get out of trouble. Hanks with the footy, switches the play to McNamara, who's got it at right half back. All Adelaide ahead of her, unsure where to go. Gets around Martin on the mark. Nice kick in the end into the centre of the ground, looking for West. Was good enough to trap it. Handballs off to Purcell. Loops a handball across to Scott. Now back to West. Handballs to Harris from 50 metres out. Just pumps it long to the goal square. No one home for the Demons. It trickles across the face of goal. Thompson should get there first for Adelaide. Handballs backwards to Sarah Allen, who gives it back to Thompson. Kick outside defensive 50. Looking for Hewitt, but it's picked off by Hanks of Melbourne, who handballs to Paxman. Gets around Charlton. Handballs to Daisy Pearce, sends it back inside 50 for Melbourne, but again the Adelaide defence stand tall. Sarah Allen with the mark. Let's go downstairs to Liz Walsh on the boundary.
Yeah, the crowd, the final attendance has come through. 16,712 people have come to the Adelaide Oval today.
Chelsea Randall, another strong mark. Sarah Allen, 2 key defenders. Only a couple of minutes to go. Adelaide, all they need to do is just maintain possession, slow it down.
So Hewitt has it at right half back. Heads down the eastern side. Kick wasn't great. Beat the pack. Birch was waiting behind the ball. Centres a kick for the Demons to McNamara. Handball over the top. Bounces favourably for Sheriff. Can gather and head towards right half forward. Put it in front of Scott. Najwa Allen's with her. Allen can gather for the Crows. Trying to get a free kick for a hold. Won't be paid. McNamara comes in to assist for Melbourne. Hatchard crunches her from behind. Ball carries over the boundary line. It is Adelaide by 13 points. 15 minutes played in the final quarter of the 2022 Grand Final.
Well, I think it's becoming reasonably evident, Jess, who might be up around.
Hatchard with the free kick. Disposal number 26, including 9 contested and 5 clearances. Kicks to Jones, gets around the player on the mark and bullets a pass to Phillips, who's marked on centre wing position in front of the interchange gates.
Composed, Aaron just walking back slowly.
Knows there's not much time left, Phillips. Chews some time off the clock and then kicks long towards half forward. It's off hands over the boundary line. We've got a ball in between wing and half forward. Adelaide into attack.
MJ's just run on and she's in the back line, just telling all her defenders just to calm down. How long to go?
13-point lead to the Adelaide Crows. Toss back into play towards the centre square. Neither of the rucks got there in the end. Spilled down. Quick clearance from Stevie Lee Thompson into the 50. Caught behind Woodland. She's been a bit quiet today. Becomes the tackler. Ran down Purcell, who dropped the footy, holding the ball. Ash Woodland receives the free kick just outside the 50. Pops it short into the arc. Ponta gets a sit. Can't grab it. Spilled to Pearce. Handball out wide. Gave it to Birch. Around the body up to right half back. Gore got a spoil. Trickles towards the centre square. Hall puts her head over the footy. Bedell wraps her up. Phillips off the deck. A tumbler towards the arc. Coming out to meet it. Hewitt had to become the tackler. Rachich sitting back in the square. Hands it off to Gore. Heads up towards the arc. It'll be cut off by the Demons. Paxman has it. And she'll head out to the eastern side. Melbourne looking for a late score. Up through centre wing. Kick into space, but Sarah Allen's waiting back. Adelaide completes its dynasty. The Crows are premiers for a record 3rd time.
Australia, and we're known as the Adelaide Crows. We're courageous, stronger, faster, and respected by our foes. Admiration of the nation, our determination shows. We're the pride of South Australia.
The minor premiers led all afternoon by 7 points at the first break, 10 at half-time, 9 at three-quarter time, and victors in the 2022 Grand Final by 13 points, 4-5-29 to 2-4-16. Danielle Ponte kicked 2. Phillips and Hewitt had 1 apiece. For the Demons, Hoare and Bannon, their only goal scorers. It was a great contest, but Adelaide always had momentum. And now, after 6 seasons, the greatest team in the history of the competition reclaims its crown. Adelaide are the 2022 AFLW premiers. Incredible scenes at the Adelaide Oval. Fans on their feet to celebrate history once again. Since the beginning of the competition, Adelaide has remained the benchmark, and they deliver once again on the big stage, their 3rd premiership. It was a joy to watch. Melbourne certainly brought the fight. Adelaide with the finish in what could be the end of an era for one of the greatest teams we've seen in both men's and women's football. Liz Walsh down on the boundary with some reaction.
Yes, I'm here with a very happy Anne Hatchard, who's just won her 3rd AFLW premiership. Congratulations, Anne. How do you feel?
Oh, I feel on top of the world. That was just insane. To hear that final siren and you're up, it's the best fucking feeling ever. Oh, sorry about that. And I can't wait to celebrate with the girls.
How did you see the game playing out? It sort of, that last goal that was taken then, it was just so exciting.
Yeah, it was highly contested and they brought it to us, but we just ran and ultimately that's what got us over the line, so I'm just so proud of the girls.
Congratulations. I'll let you go celebrate.
Thank you so much.
Apologies for the language there, but I don't think it'll be the last we'll hear this afternoon. Great reaction downstairs. Anne Harchard with Liz Walsh. She'll kick, chasing some talent. She's down with Eloise Jones now for the Adelaide Football Club.
Eloise Jones, congratulations. Your second AFLW premiership. What does this mean?
Oh, it means everything. This is the reason we play, is for a premiership, and this group is absolutely amazing, and there's so many girls in here that don't have a medal that now got one, and there's so many more that don't have one as well, so it keeps driving us, but this one's great. This one's a good one.
What makes this one, is it the best?
I think, for me, starting in September for pre-season is such a long thing, and with every game we've rolled up, and it's just the effort from everyone, whoever comes in, whoever goes out, it's just as happy, and it's incredible.
Now I'll let you go.
9 players winning their first premiership this afternoon. 5 of them their second, 7 of them their third. It's been a great group the Adelaide Football Club have maintained over the past 6 years. Young and old, there's certainly a future at this football club. Whether or not they can keep their elite talent will be the question as we continue through the expansion to 18 clubs. Outstanding scenes out in the middle of the Adelaide Oval as Liz continues to grab talent. We might see if we can get, I was going to say a quick reaction from Charlotte Curtis, but she's got arguably the woman of the afternoon, Danielle Ponta, with 2 goals and the match winner for the Adelaide Football Club.
Ponta, you've just kicked the match winner in an AFLW Grand Final. How does it feel?
Fucking amazing. I'm sorry for swearing. I'm sorry for swearing, but that is the best feeling I've ever felt. I got the feeling in 2019, and then after last year there was a bit of fire in my belly, so there was no way I was letting that game slip. But I got to give credit to the girls. Now I'm up in the forward line, they're doing the hard work down back and through the midfield, so credit to those girls. They fought hard all game, and we were able to come away with the wins.
You've got tears in your eyes. What does this mean?
I hope that was a censorship there. I think we may have just lost Liz very quickly.
Charlotte, how are you feeling? I dare ask.
I'm feeling really nice. Thank you very much. I don't want to use any. Be careful. Look, that was a cracking game of football, and I think what we've come to know about the Adelaide Crows. They're just so fit, prepared. Their talent runs deep, but their effort runs deep, and it was that. They withstood the onslaught of Melbourne, who just had those repeated inside 50 entries I spoke about in their forward half. That was 22-8, but then we saw Melbourne only get 2 behinds. And
let's try head back down to Liz, who's with arguably the greatest player the game's ever seen, Erin Phillips.
Erin Phillips, congratulations, your 3rd AFLW premiership. How does it feel?
I'm honestly speechless, Liz. It's amazing. We fell short last year, and we knew that was a mountain to climb to get back here, and honestly, I just feel so proud of this team and just the effort every week, every training, going through this crazy COVID time, and always showing up with a positive attitude, wanting to go to work, wanting to get better. I've just been so inspired by them, and this is unreal. 3 premierships is unreal.
You've got tears in your eyes. What does it mean to you to win this today?
It means everything, honestly. I'm so happy. I'm happy for the girls, this club, because you go along this journey, you know the work, and you know how much they've wanted it, and it goes to the girls that missed out as well. Everyone has pushed each other to get better, and just the resilience of this team to get back up there when we fell short last year in front of our home fans.
Where did you think you won the game today? How did you see it all playing out? Melbourne were tough.
One of the toughest games I've ever played in. It was just contest after contest. There were moments where we had the ball in their forward 50, and we just dug deep, and we just found a way. We just kept clawing at it, effort after effort, and that's our game. That's how we've got to this point. So it's unreal. I'm just so happy.
Have you felt much pressure leading into this game, Erin?
Honestly, this was probably the most relaxed grand final going into this, in terms of just knowing the lessons that we learned last year when we lost, just preparing a little differently, sharpening up things that we knew what we needed to do to beat a very, very good team. And so I felt really confident in that if we executed our game plan, this would be the result. What a result.
Congratulations. I'll let you go enjoy it.
If it is her final game in the red, gold and blue, it certainly was an excellent one. A 3-time premiership player, Erin Phillips, had 16 disposals and a goal to her name. It was a great performance from the face of the AFLW. And if it is the end of the era for the Adelaide Football Club, they'll certainly relish what they've accomplished. Back down to Liz Walsh.
I'm now here with Captain Chelsea Randall, 3-time premiership winning captain. How does it feel, Chelsea?
Oh, I just can't even put a sentence together at the moment, Liz. It's just incredible. Incredible feeling. This is something that we've been trying to chase for a very long time since, last year, and I just couldn't be prouder of this group. They deserve it. They've sacrificed so much, each and every single one of them. They're just incredible people, and I'm so proud of them. And now they get the ultimate prize, to lift up that cup, and I'm so proud of them.
Can we now start talking about this team as being part of a dynasty?
What's that?
Can we talk about you being, you're the greatest women's football team in so far in AFLW history.
It's a bit strange, we've had 5 grand finals in 6 seasons, and our girls have been a part of 4 of them, and we've won 3. It's unbelievable. When you've got the likes of, the leadership and seniority of, Erin Phillips in that side, who's really just been a pillar of us and our footy club and our football team, and then you bring in just our young kids that bring so much energy and really wanted this, and so did we for them. So we just put everything we could into it, and I can't thank all our support staff, our coaches. I've got the great man standing next to me, Doc Clark, and he's the best coach I've ever had. He's just incredible at how he inspires every single individual. I can't wait to lift that cup up with him beside him. He certainly is just incredible.
Yeah, thank you, Chelsea. Appreciate your time.
She's an inspirational skipper. Chelsea Randall has delivered again on the big stage. We thought maybe she wouldn't get here with her hamstring injury during the year, but fought back, played in round 10, was excellent in the preliminary final, and now again is a premiership captain. Let's head downstairs once again, because one of our new recruits at ABC Sport this season and one of the greats of the game, Ebony Marinoff, is standing by. She's been ripped away from Liz Walsh. Liz is trying to track her down. Hard to get her.
She is. I'm just going to walk alongside her. Ebony Marinoff.
I'm trying to get Bungie.
She's going to get Andrew McLeod. Their great assistant coach who was with them for 3 seasons before he left at the end of last year.
She's pulling him out of the crowd, Liz.
Yes, she will be. But wait, now she's coming back to me. So I think she's just giving him a really big wave. He's been a real inspiration for her in the midfield over her career.
Can you get him?
Ebony, congratulations. How does it feel? 3 AFLW premierships.
I know, we just created history. It's an incredible feeling. Obviously hasn't sunk in yet, but we knew it was going to be the best game of, and it was fucking contested.
You weren't supposed to say that word. I told you that.
Sorry. Just super proud. Obviously the heartbreak last year, and we didn't want to feel that again. And we've been really driven as a group, not just the players, coaches, support staff, and then family and friends that have just kept with us, and when we grind, and they just know what we're doing to get better.
How did you find that game today? It was really hot conditions. Were they tricky?
I don't know if it was tricky. I just thought it was contested, and both teams have pace, and too good on the day, so go Crows.
You're friends with a lot of people in the Melbourne team. How did you think the Melbourne team went today?
They were excellent. Obviously, grinded us right till the very end, and 2 goals in it, so we've seen Melbourne kick goals really quick, so it wasn't over till that siren. So an amazing feeling.
What was it like when Danielle Ponter kicked that winning goal?
Oh, incredible. She's a star.
Thanks so much, Ebony. Go enjoy it.
That's the 3rd strike to the Adelaide Football Club. Unfortunately, Ebony Marinoff elated after a premiership win, and great to have her joining us at the desk in the box in a couple of weeks' time as part of the men's season. She is an elite player, 3-time premiership player, 4-time All-Australian, the first to 1,000 disposals, Rising Star winner as well. There's nothing she can't do out there in the AFLW. Let's head downstairs for the post-match presentations.
But it is official, the Adelaide Crows are now 3-time AFLW premiers. I think we can all agree what an incredible performance Melbourne put in today. That was a fabulous match. They've had an incredible season. They won their last 7 games of the season. Let's put our hands together for the Demons. I'd now like to welcome their formidable captain, Daisy Pearce, up to the stage to say a few words. Let's put our hands together for Daisy.
Well, this will be intriguing, actually, too, as to, I mean, she'll obviously be a bit choked up, but a big day. She's got some big decisions ahead, and she's held herself proud.
On behalf of everyone in the Melbourne Footy Club, I'd just like to thank NAB and the AFL for putting together this competition. I know these last couple of years have been really difficult for everyone in the community, so for this comp to keep getting better, amidst that is a credit to all the hard work that you guys do, and we couldn't do what we love without you. To the Adelaide Footy Club, congratulations on another amazing season and a great game today. We came here knowing that we'd improved a lot and had a real crack, and we knew it was going to take a bloody good team to beat us, and that's exactly what you guys are and were today. So you guys just keep setting the bar, and we'll have to go away and get better again so that we can have another game like this next year. To the Melbourne Footy Club and our sponsors, Zurich, Hertz and Furphy, again, we thank you so much for your support of our team and the club. We couldn't do what we love without your help. To our girls, I'm so proud of our season and the steps forward we took this year, and the fact that we gave it an absolute crack today. I think we can walk off proud of our efforts, but knowing we've just got to go away and get to work and get better. So well done, I'm proud of all of us. And to all our friends, families and the supporters that have come out today and all throughout the year, thank you.
As always, Daisy Pearce, incredibly well spoken, the Demon skipper, the 4-time nominated Players Association Best Captain.
Together for today's umpires.
Andrew Adair, Nicholas McGuinness, Jordan Pearson, the officials this afternoon. I thought they did a pretty good job.
What? Melbourne 22-11 freeze.
Did they win, Jamo?
I think that's why they got the reception they did.
AFL Commissioner Chair Richard Goyder OA to present the player of the match. To the player adjudged to be best of field in the 2022 NAB AFLW Grand Final.
Come on, Jess.
No spoilers.
And the winner is Anne Hatchard.
Who we can confirm Jess Webster did give 3 votes to in the best on ground panel. 26 disposals, 6 tackles are behind to her name as well. Came runner-up in the best and fairest this year by a single vote. Now a 3-time premiership player and 3-time All-Australian, and a grand final best on ground.
An amazing turnaround too from Hatchard. You think about her first season compared to where she is now, just how this competition has allowed her to grow as an athlete and as a person.
First of all, I'd just like to thank NAB and the AFL. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be living out our dream. So thank you so much. I'd just like to thank Melbourne. You've had such a great season doing a CJ. You put up a great fight, and I'm just, thank you so much for, bringing out a good game. Next, I'd like to thank the club sponsors and just everyone that is able to give us this opportunity. And thank you to the girls. Without you here, I wouldn't be standing up here, so I'd just like to thank you guys so much. The club, you've just had belief in me from the start. 6 years with you, and it's just been a fun journey, so thank you for always believing in me and having my back. And I'd just like to thank my family. You've been there for me the whole time, and especially my partner, Georgie. I just love you so much, and I wouldn't be here without you. Thank you so much.
Anne Hatchard, the 2022 Grand Final Best on Ground.
Well, the one thing the girls know what to do is have a good time, so hang on to your hats.
Simone is going to come up to the stage, and we're going to present Jordan Pearson, the umpire, with a medal for today's match. Let's give her a round of applause.
Jordan Pearce's first ever AFLW Grand Final that she's officiating today.
Well, it's every young footballer's dream to be up on the grand final stage, and today these young players over here get to make it a reality. It's with much pleasure that we welcome the 21 participants from the NAB AFL Auskick program who now present the medallions to the Adelaide Crows. Caitlin Gould.
The former state volleyballer picked 68 in the 2019 draft, was in last year's grand final loss, and now finally has a premiership to her name.
Eloise Jones.
How good was she today? Just amazing. Just beautiful ball use. So smart. Very mature player. Just love how she goes about it. 12 touches for her today. 4 of them contested.
Wonderful story, an injury replacement player back in 2020 after being the joint AFLW best and fairest. Played in last year's grand final loss, but this is her first AFLW premiership.
Hannah Button.
Didn't have a lot of the football today, but her and also Rochelle Martin, their defensive work when Adelaide don't have the football to be able to hold it in their forward 50, they are relentless.
Nikki Gore.
Her first grand final, Nikki Gore, after missing the 2021 flag with a broken ankle. Pick 8 in the 2018 draft. A 2-time SANFL premiership player with South Adelaide. Stumbles on her way up the steps. She won't mind. A premiership medallion
Won't be the
over
first
her
time
neck.
today either, Aaron.
That's a bit rough. Najwa Allen.
Yeah, Najwa Allen back into the team after having a number of weeks off. Of course, there was a COVID miss as well as a suspension. Just been a really good addition to the backline here at the Crows. Really love just that consistency, the composure. Just works super hard and does a great team effort.
Adelaide's first ever draft pick number 7 back in 2016. Now a 3-time premiership player, 4-time All-Australian, a club best and fairest, rising star winner, had arguably a career best season, the first player to reach 1,000 disposals during the season. What a career for Ebony Marinoff.
Chelsea Biddle.
Yeah, tremendous player. Been at the club for a couple of years now and holds down a key defensive area. Loves to get up at the football and was tremendous again today.
Been a good move of her from forward down back. Just reads the play so nicely, doesn't she?
Wait for the roar on this one.
I think you guys might know this next one. Erin Phillips.
The 36-year-old, a 3-time premiership player now. A 3-time All-Australian. 2-time league best and fairest. 2-time grand final MVP. Had a goal this afternoon as well. If this is her last Crows game, she certainly finished on a high.
Well, one of my favourite players, Stevie Lee Thompson. She's got jets. She can play back. She can play forward. She's a beautiful user of the football. Just an outstanding effort. Her 3rd premiership for her today. 9 touches today only. But, gee, she's been such an amazing contributor on the journey.
Danielle Ponta from St Mary's in Darwin, an outstanding junior, played in the 2019 premiership and now has another medal to add to her collection. Kicked 2 goals today, 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the last, which was the match winner.
Ailish Considine.
What a story this is too. An Irish lady. I'd love to see her get up there and do a jig.
She was waving the flag before as well.
Yeah, just tremendous. So much talent coming out of Ireland. We've seen both men's and women come here and adapt to the game and pick it up. A real talent.
Jasmine Hewitt.
Jazzy Hewitt, one of the 3 inclusions for the Crows this afternoon, kicked the first goal of the 2022 grand final and probably wouldn't have been selected if it wasn't for Montana McKinnon's suspension. She took advantage of it. The former Crows son and now back to Adelaide earns a premiership medallion in her home state.
Hannah Munyard.
Just another terrific contributor there. It's what I love about the Adelaide Crows. They play their role. It doesn't matter whether you're getting 26 touches or you get one touch, then you know that they will play their role. Munyard, the 6 touches today, 5 of them contested, so no mean feat for her. The one inside 50. She'll be super happy to get a premiership medallion around her neck.
And Justine Mules taken with pick number 133 in the inaugural 2016 draft. Now has 3 premierships to her name on 49 games as well. So game number 50 coming up in round 1 next year as she comes up on stage to collect her medal.
This year in a couple of months.
Of course. You keep forgetting it, don't you?
Well, pre-season starts next week.
Ash Woodland.
What a season she's had. The AFLW leading goal kicker as well. Just really turned it on. Breakout season. Leads well. Speed. Finishes off. Didn't hit the scoreboard today, but always dangerous.
Of course, was a defender for the Melbourne Football Club. Now leading goal kicker, premiership player for the Adelaide Crows.
And All-Australian.
Take that any day of the week.
Tia Charlton.
Pick number 1 in the 2020 draft. Tia Charlton, a 2-time AFLW premiership winner with South Adelaide. And now a premiership player in the AFLW. Didn't come easy. Big knock. Forced her off the ground early, but she finished the game strong. And ultimately ran out with 7 disposals.
Well, how much do they love MJ? Mariana Raichik, she's just been absolutely outstanding across that half-back line. Just has stood up, just continued to grow and evolve and mature as her team has done. Lovely little combination with Sarah Allen, of course, and Chelsea Randall. They do such great work.
Now your woman of the match, Anne Hatchard.
Anne Hatchard, the best on-ground medalist of the 2022 AFLW Grand Final. 26 disposals, 9 contested possessions and 5 clearances. Now a 3-time premiership player, 3-time All-Australian, and also on game number 49. So another milestone coming up for Anne Hatchard.
Sarah Allen.
And I think one of 4 All-Australians Adelaide produced this year. Full-back, nothing penetrates. She just so composed, really balanced. Uses the football well, assesses the situation really quickly, whether she has to spoil or run out of defence, and her delivery is exceptional. Another great game today.
Best talent to ever come out of Millicent, you'd say?
Premiership captain,
Out of where?
Chelsea
Out of Millicent.
Oh,
Country girl.
The roar for the 3-time premiership skipper. 3-time All-Australian, as we touched on throughout the call. Injured for the majority of the year with a pretty severe hamstring injury. Managed to fight her way back and had a big final series. 15 touches in the preliminary final this afternoon. She was certainly good down back once again for the Adelaide Crows with 10 disposals. But certainly her impact comes with her body work. How she throws herself on the line for this football club.
Firstly, I just want to thank Melbourne, to Days and to Mick and to all the players and coaching staff. Just an unbelievable season. Thanks for today. Just you guys have gone from, just an incredible way. So really, really well done to you guys. To the AFL, to NAB, you guys, thank you so much for giving over 400 girls the opportunity to play in an AFLW competition. We've had that for 6 years now, and it's bloody awesome. We love being a part of it. So thanks for providing that opportunity. To our Crows sponsors, to BHB and to WorkSkill, thank you very much for all the support you guys give us and all our other sponsors that are with us. Thank you to our club, to our board members who continuously text me all the time and wish me luck, and all our players, to our coaches, to all our support staff. You guys are just amazing. To all our men's players and our men's team, Stanford and AFL, they get right behind our girls, and we're so forever grateful. So thank you very much to each and every single individual. Also, just thanks to the umpires. Without umpires, we wouldn't have a game. So thank you very much to you guys. We really appreciate it. To our players. Geez, this lot here, this good-looking bunch, they're a pretty inspiring bunch, and I'm very, very proud to captain them. We've worked so damn hard over the last 8-9 months, and I'm just so forever proud of each individual. We've been on a roller coaster, and you guys really deserve this. to our non-playing players, they're premiership players, and they deserve all the accolades that the playing players do as well, because they're a part of the reason why we're here today and why we're standing here. So massive thank you to them. And to Doc, our main man, Matthew Clark, our head coach. You're one of a kind, mate. We love you and thank you for everything that you do in making us the best version of ourselves. And finally, to our supporters, you guys rock. We love you. Thank you so much for coming out here today. We really appreciate it. You've come in numbers. We love you. Thank you so much.
16,712 in attendance for the 2022 AFLW Grand Final.
To the stage to present the medal to the senior coach of the 2022 NAB AFLW Premiership team, Matthew Clark.
You won't find a senior coach more well loved, not only by his team, but by his state, than Matthew Clark. Outstanding individual. Did everything he could during COVID to keep his players up and about, even when some of them tested positive this year.
I'll just reiterate pretty much what Chelsea said. 12 months ago we were sitting over there, and so we know the pain that you're feeling, and nothing I'm going to say is going to change that. But in time, you'll reflect and you'll be absolutely proud of your season. I know your coaches and your families would be immensely proud of what you've done. So to the Melbourne Footy Club, well done. Chelsea mentioned our sponsors, or our major partners, WorkSkill and BHP, and it's kind of what happens on these moments is that you acknowledge them, but we will never underestimate what that means to us. To support us from right at the beginning of this competition, you've laid a foundation for these players to be absolutely as good as they can be, so we truly appreciate that. I will quickly mention the support team, the team behind the team, coaches, high performance, medical, trainers, administration, unbelievable. Sacrifice and commitment of that group is unprecedented, and also to their families who do without them, and to the families of the partners, the family of the players. We really appreciate that. I won't be much longer, but we'll mention the players because they're pretty important. They're a pretty special group. And Chelsea mentioned in the lead up to this game there was a fair bit of talk about individual players, but footy's a team game, and that's not the way we roll. So to the 21 that were lucky enough to play, well done. But to the 9 that weren't able to play today, just the same, yeah? Well done. You are... You're premiership players. If anyone tells you different, walk away. Finally, to the supporters, the fans. What's happened over the last 6 years is an absolute revolution, and it's been inspirational to be involved with. So to all the women out there, grandmas and little kids, get involved. Get involved in this because it's an amazing community, and they'll welcome you with open arms. It's safe and it's inclusive, and it's just something that I'm so glad I've been involved with. And that goes to the men out there as well. There's a place for you in AFLW. Support your partners, support your daughters and your sisters, and just be involved and just love every moment of it, as I have. So thank you very much. And we better get a cup, I reckon.
Matthew Clark has nailed it there. This is just the beginning of the AFLW.
I'd now like to welcome back our Cup Ambassador, Lisa Hardiman, to the stage to present the 2022 NAB AFLW Premiership Cup to our captain, Chelsea Randall, and coach, Matthew Clark. I give you your 2022, now three-time premiers, your Adelaide Crows.
Adelaide are once again the queens of the AFLW. They swarm the stage at the Adelaide Oval. The greatest team the competition has ever seen. They complete their dynasty in the 2022 Grand Final.
We're courageous, stronger, faster, and respected by our foes. Admiration of the nation, our determination shows. We're the pride Australia, where the mighty Adelaide grows.
4-5-29 to 2-4-16 the final score. And whilst the song ringing around the stadium is great to hear for the home fans, there's nothing better than the song being sung by the Premiership group out on the Oval. They'll celebrate with the cup. Liz Walsh is standing by to get in there. Great celebration. Ebony Marinoff holding the cup alongside Stevie Lee Thompson for the official Premiership pick. And as Matthew Clark alluded to, everyone in the squad is in for it. They're all Premiership players under the Adelaide Football Club banner. Let's head down to Liz as we get ready for the song.
Yeah, thanks, guys. This is an incredible atmosphere down here. Streamers everywhere, players with tears in their eyes. We have to say a fair way back. Here we go.
It's been great to have your company for 2022 AFLW Grand Final Day. For our listeners in WA, you're off to Sports Talk. Everyone else to the SCG, Sydney and North Melbourne.